Columbia, South Carolina. The cockaboo scene outside on one of those drink plenty of fluid Saturdays. One of the SEC's most dangerous players, Deebo Samuel, styles and profiles his way into Williams-Brice Stadium. Two old friends, Kirby Smart, Georgia class of '98, and Will Muschamp, Georgia class of '94, put that friendship aside this afternoon in a huge SEC East battle. And with that, we welcome you to the Home Depot SEC on CBS. Number 24, South Carolina against the third-ranked Bulldogs of Georgia. It is one of those palmetto drooping days. It'll make your trees melt out there and wilt a little bit. It's going to feel like 100 by the time we kick off here at Williams-Brice Stadium. And we welcome you, everybody. 80,000 plus on hand. I'm Brad Nessler along with Gary Danielson. Partner, it's not very often in week 2 we can say this game is going to shape the entire conference, or at least the Eastern Division of it, but it probably will.
You know, Ness, we all know this Georgia team is loaded, but if I'm South Carolina, pointing to this game, I'm healthy, I'm at home. It really counts too, because if you can knock off Georgia, it means you have to lose 2 to get ahead of them. I think it's a big game and an important game. Last year, Georgia rushed for over 240 yards. Their 2 lead dogs are playing tomorrow on CBS, as a matter of fact. It's not like the kennel's empty, though, Gary. No, any team would miss these 2 guys. Chubb and Michelle were 2 leaders, as you say, and the offense went through them a year ago. But DeAndre Swift, as the season went along, more and more defensive coordinators were saying this number 7 is a game breaker, and he was as important to the Georgia offense down the stretch as the other 2 players. But they got Jake Fromm back, and a year ago we all remember they kind of played around Jake as he got better and better. He's a clutch football player, but at the end of the year he was as important as anybody on the football team, and this year's team is built more to his liking, more speed, more receivers. And for Will Muschamp, he's got a Jake of his own, and he's pretty good. Yeah, they are similar, and not just their names. If you're going to ask me any 2 quarterbacks that are most the same in this league, I'd say Bentley plays the most like Jake Fromm. Got same style, both are great leaders, but to me, Fromm had the experience last year in the big games. This is the biggest game of Jake Bentley's career today. He's been pointing for it for 3 years, but you know what? He's got help this year in Deebo Samuel. A year ago, he was not healthy enough to play in this football game. They did not have the big plays, and they're going to need them against this defense. And the big play could come even in a kickoff return, because he's as good as there is at that thing. He had 6 touchdowns in just a little over 2 games a year ago. Packed house, great scene. South Carolina and Georgia in the SEC East, and it's coming up in a moment. The Home Depot.
Welcome to Columbia, South Carolina for an early season SEC East showdown. It's the Dogs versus the Gamecocks. Let's go! We're just getting warmed up, just getting started, already fired up. Yeah, let's party, ain't nothing like it around here, going down out here. Getting warmed up and get it started.
Touchdown!
Here came the party. You need a good time, well, I brought
Touchdown,
it.
Carolina! Deebo's back, baby.
Who's setting it off? You know that's us. You already know we're getting warmed up. We're just getting warmed up.
He's going to run it. Touchdown, Georgia.
Nothing but creativity from Jake Bentley. Holy cock.
We're just getting warmed up. The Home Depot SEC on CBS. The best game from the best conference.
South Carolina ranked in the top 25 for the first time in 4 years. Here they come. Last year's national runner-up, Georgia Bulldogs, ranked 3rd in the country. Just about set for the kick. Before we do, 3rd member of our team, Jamie Erdahl. Jamie?
Brad, I'm lost in the madness. This will be the first time Jake Fromm quarterbacks a game from Columbia, South Carolina. Now, I asked him what he expects from this game environment. He said national championship-like loud. But that game was a little closer to Athens, and the fan ratio was a little more 50-50. Let's just say these Gamecock fans are getting ready to give Jake Fromm an earful to make sure he knows they have home field advantage.
Jake in his second year, 13-2 as a starter. Georgia won the toss and will defer, so South Carolina is going to get their hands on the ball first. This is the 71st meeting between the Bulldogs and the Gamecocks. They've split the last 8. Dates back to 1894. One of the great scenes in college football, if you've never been here, is Williams-Brice Stadium right before the kick. Let's enjoy it together. Blankenship's kick. Deebo Samuel's going to watch it sail over his head. 9 touchbacks in 9 kickoffs for Blankenship, and that will quiet the crowd at least momentarily. As we take a look at the Chick-fil-A starting lineups, and it all starts with number 19. Jake Bentley threw for 227 a year ago in this matchup and coming off a career-high game in the win over Coastal Carolina last week. 4 touchdowns for Jake a week ago. And they start from the 25-yard line.
Well, they talked about running the ball. I don't think they're going to run it on this one.
I don't think Jake's going to run it on first down.
Unless it's one of those fly sweep things coming at you fast.
Bentley scans the field, throws a dart complete out across the 30 to the 33. Got it to KC Crosby as you take a look at the rest of the starting lineup for South Carolina. Rico Dowdle over 100 yards a week ago in his first game of the season. Bentley ready to throw again. This one high and tipped and incomplete, intended for Deebo Samuel. Broken up by DeAndre Baker. Part of the Georgia defense. That's a good one, but they lost some key players from a year ago. Ledbetter, though, is going to have to lead the charge. Trenton Thompson and Geno Atkins. Now in the NFL. John Atkins, I should say. Bentley pumps once.
Off his back foot.
Incomplete.
Just enough pressure.
Flag.
I don't know if the ball was catchable on the play. It could be an uncatchable ball, but you saw it sail. Let's see if there was holding on it.
That's what Kirby is arguing for right there, Gary.
He's doing it. He's saying it's uncatchable.
Pass interference on the defense. Number 18. 15-yard penalty. First down.
I got to say, I'm not going to make that call. He cut the receiver off. Uncatchable ball. I think that's one that is a break for South Carolina and keeps the chains moving.
You'd have to be Shaquille O'Neal to catch that.
Yeah. And he was just forcing him out wide on that play. You're really taught to do it. I didn't think he armbarred him. Maybe something happened before we saw it.
So a first down just outside the 47-yard line. Again, empty backfield for Jake Bentley. Just going to throw and throw some more. Overshot. Oh, man. Monty Rice, I think it hit him right in the face mask.
Yeah, it went through the receiver, thrown way too hard. You can see Bentley, they're going hurry up. That's one of the things about going hurry up is sometimes you lose your own tempo. You get so jacked up, that ball was thrown way too hard. That's the guys like the Montanas make that perfect short throw.
2nd down and 10. This one off the hands of Rico Dowdle and picked up by Georgia, going the other way. DeAndre Baker is gone. Touchdown.
So you throw a strike, Rico Dowdle drops the ball, and it ends up being a touchdown the other way. You can't say that one was thrown too hard. When you're throwing the ball to the outside, you got to throw it. Remember, Dowdle's mostly a running back and could not handle it.
56 yards later, here's another look. The tip drill, and Baker down the sideline had a convoy. Nobody was going to get near him.
You know, I thought he might have dropped the ball early, but Jawan Taylor, number 44, saw it as well, and he went over there and scooped it up for Georgia. Let's see if Baker didn't drop that ball before he crossed the line. It was really close. See? Ball's out.
It's out. You're great call, Gary, in the Chick-fil-A pylon cam. That thing's on the turf.
You know who saw it was Jawan Taylor, number 44. If South Carolina would have jumped on that ball, it would have been their ball right there.
Whether I'm right.
Have to keep it to the very end, Gary.
Yes, you do. And it's very clear. Pylon cam is right on the line. It's not a touchdown. The ball rolls in, and then the senior, number 44, Taylor, scoops it up, and it's going to be his touchdown, ironically, on the play.
So it's a 56-yard interception return for DeAndre Baker, but the touchdown goes to Jawan Taylor.
We had one like that in the SEC Championship a while back. The Honey Badger dropped one like that, and we didn't know how, if he crossed or not. We did not really have that camera right on the pylon, but I think we still had dial phones back then.
I had one at Oregon one year, and it was 99 yards the other way. I didn't see it until it was over.
You know, that pass interference penalty turned out to, flip everything around. It was a bad break. I mean, it's thrown right into, and it bounces the one direction to Baker on the play.
And again, Blankenship will kick it out of the back of the end zone. So South Carolina will come back and start again at the 25-yard line. You can stream CBS Sports HQ, the all-new 24/7 Sports News Network featuring live news, highlights, and expert analysis. Stream CBS Sports HQ today on all of your connected devices.
You know, Ness, I always believe, just coming from a guy who's done this early in a game, everybody's so jacked up, to go up tempo on top of being jacked.
Yeah.
They've been pointing for this game since December. Okay, now you go hurry up. It just seemed like South Carolina never got their feet planted on the ground.
They never ran it the first series. They do here, and Dowdle got close to 5 before he really got stood up by Richard LeCount.
It's funny on that play, LeCount was following Baker, and he turned around and looked, because I think he thought, oh, wait a second, was that dropped or not? And he never turned back and got the ball.
So now Rico gets it twice in a row, nothing doing this time. And it was Tyler Clark, the first contact, and got help from Michael Barnett.
Well, one of the main question marks for this Georgia football team this year is, could they stop the run right at him? I mean, Roquan Smith, if you talk to coaches, a lot of people will tell you he might have been the best football player in all of college football last year.
Right.
He lost Atkins right up the middle of the year, Trenton Thompson up the middle. Could they be as stout in that inside triangle? That was the question.
They were on that play. Bentley back to the air. Plenty of time. No pass rush this time. And again, Rico Dowdle dropped it.
Whoa.
He caught 11 balls all season last year. He's dropped 2 here in the first 3 minutes.
Well, he struggled with injuries a year ago, too, when this team did not finish well. But that's, as you could see, even the offensive players, that was Dennis Daly, number 74, kind of saying, oh, my goodness, not again.
So that was a 3 and out. Joseph Charlton, you look behind him, set the punt. Miko Hartman, talking about
what a
great
punt.
return man, is back deep, but he's going to have to fair catch this one. That one is a mile high.
Can't do it any better than that.
Man. Georgia will have their first offensive snap. Jake Fromm's got the comfort of a touchdown lead when we come back. Where Georgia will have its first snap as we take a look at the starting lineups for the Dogs, presented by Chick-fil-A, and it starts with number 11, sophomore Jake Fromm out of Warner Robins, Georgia. Mentioned 13-2 as a starter, and of course one of those losses was a national championship game to Alabama a year ago. Had a good game against South Carolina last year in this matchup. And both Kirby Smart and Jim Chaney, the offensive coordinator, told us last night he's so much more mature. He sees the field better. He's got everything under control a lot more than this time a year ago.
Hey, when you beat Baker Mayfield and you almost beat Alabama, you can be calm, right?
That's right. From the 24, DeAndre Swift flanks from. He fakes it to him. Looks right, comes back across the middle. He's got his man complete. Tyler Simmons, and Georgia with a first down. Rest of the Georgia offense looks like this. Terry Godwin's going to be back in there at times today. Was battling a calf injury. He's their leading returning receiver, but they've got a good stable of wide receivers, as good as I think Georgia's ever had as a group.
And fast.
They set up in a wildcat, and now DeAndre Swift behind from a toss to him. Weaves his way for 2 or 3. That's about all. Defensively for South Carolina, Will Muschamp and Travaris Robinson, the defensive coordinator, said our guys inside have to hold up against the Georgia ground game, and that means Kinlaw and Keir Thomas.
Yeah, it's picture poison with this offense for Georgia. They line up in a lot of 2 tight end formations. They run the ball at the edges with crackbacks. But with the speed they have now on the outside, boy, it'd be dangerous sinking your safeties in there to try to stop the run game.
Speaking of the 2 tight ends, both Nada and Werner are on the left side. A dual tight end set. Here's a quick throw out. Nicole Hardeman's got great speed. Down the sideline, and a hurdle job. Got him a few extra yards into South Carolina territory all the way down. And a flag flies in at the 30-yard line.
Yeah, into the play. That's going to be 15 more yards. Great block by Riley Ridley right there, number 8, to really spring it. And Hardeman, probably the fastest player for this Georgia football team. He showed his speed right there.
There's the late hit. That'll be on T.J. Brunson.
Late hit out of bounds, number 6. 15-yard penalty. First down.
When Brunson started to throw this tackle, Hardeman was up in the air, and right there you got to pull off. Right there at the end, and he's very fortunate that that helmet didn't get a little lower. He could have been thrown out of the game.
All right. So Georgia right back in the red zone, where they were 5 for 5 last week.
Yeah, you hear the fans. I mean, they don't like it, but that might have been a legal hit in 1990, but not in 2018. They're calling those now.
A 30-yard run, a 15-yard penalty, and Georgia's at the South Carolina 17. DeAndre Swift trying to get to the edge. He got there, and he's going for the touchdown. 17 yards, and Georgia scores again.
I'll tell you what, the wide receivers for Georgia, there's so many of them. They know if they don't block, they don't play. Number 87, Tyler Simmons, he gets the key block on this one. Swift to the outside. You could barely see that Simmons had his guy, the corner, the outside contain on the ground. A beautiful play helped with a little bit of a late hit on the play, but Georgia's got it rolling. They got a lot of weapons.
Blankenship for the point after. Up and good. In the early going. 11:50 remaining in the first quarter. DeAndre Swift, who had a touchdown last week, has got his second one of the season, capping a 76-yard drive in just 4 plays. 14-0 Bulldogs.
I'm a college football fan. One of my
About 16 seconds to tell you about it. This is new. If you head out to your favorite SEC campus this year for a game, Game Ops decided that fans and teams needed to know just how much time was left in the commercial break. We got about 6 seconds, and it's important for us because it tells everybody when I have to stop talking and when I got to get back up to you guys.
Perfect timing. It hit 3 zeros.
Well, I hope my wife doesn't have one of those around the house. I'll tell you, it's not going to be any fun anymore.
Well, at least they can't get on our case anymore.
Exactly.
The fans can't boo us anymore. So Blankenship on 10 kickoffs this year has knocked them all out of the back of the end zone. That takes away a weapon like Deebo Samuel. If he comes up short, you know Deebo's going to return one, and it might be not this time. Thought he was going to think about that one. So a 14-0 lead for Georgia today.
Well, here's going to be the test. You know, the whole offseason, the emphasis has been we're going to go up-tempo. We're going to try to use a lot of plays. We're going to try to pressure that defense. But now your own defense has just been out there. You haven't been able to produce any time on the clock. Can they slow it down, slow the game down a little bit, get their feet planted, and still make some first downs? It'll be the first test of new coordinator Brian McClendon.
Now they got 2 guys in the backfield with Bentley. After starting the game with 6 straight passes, they give it off to Tyson Williams, and Tyler Clark again put the brakes on him. Tyler Clark had a great game in the Rose Bowl.
Sure did. It was almost unblockable.
2nd and 9, Bentley. Almost a one-handed catch, and there comes the flag again.
Yep. The matchup for the 2 potential All-Americans. DeAndre Baker did not give up a touchdown all last year as a corner. This time he's got him by the jersey. You got to wonder back on that first one when I said the ball was overthrown.
Defense, number 18, 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
No doubt about that one.
Yeah, you wonder on the first one if he didn't have his hands on him early, the part we didn't see, because on that one he clearly had a fistful of jersey.
This week in practice, Kirby told us yesterday DeAndre Baker would switch from playing left corner to right corner, alternating during the days of the week to get ready for wherever Samuel might line up.
And Samuel almost always, 100% of the time, lines up left, so that's the matchup they're going to get.
Unless he's coming in motion, which he is here. He's had to run out, and he's going to get dragged down. Georgia knew exactly what we knew. DeAndre Walker.
I mean, that was an easy scouting report. Everybody knows when Samuel goes in motion, he's a threat to get the ball and run the ball. See Walker, he knows it. He's looking. Look at where he's looking on the play. He knows right away. Nobody blocks him on the play. The influence didn't work. How can you influence a guy when you know number 1's coming across the field? Well-coached Georgia team on that play.
2nd and 16. Bentley play action. And that was a dangerous throw. It was tipped, but it was caught as well by Brian Edwards.
And Brian Edwards did a great job coming back for that football because it was tipped early. When that ball flew up, he had to come back and get it, or it was potentially an opportunity for an interception. He reads it, he comes back and gets it, but it's short for the first down.
Still brings up 3rd and manageable. 3rd and 4. The throw is complete. It is a first down. Ortre Smith. And they'll move the sticks.
Well, Samuel, you got Smith, Johnson. You've got the receivers that can move the ball. Can that offensive line, when they're in situations when they have to pass block, not RPOs, can they hold off that Georgia rush?
In Georgia territory at the 49. Back to the ground. And a couple-yard pickup by Williams. David Marshall, who tipped that pass earlier, in on the stop.
I'll tell you, Georgia is so smooth at substituting now on the fly. They signal before the play happens who's coming off after that play. You know you're coming off before the play starts.
3 wideouts to the top, Van, Smith, and Davis. On 2nd down and 8 for Bentley. Georgia's going to blitz. Bentley complete again to Smith. And another first down.
One-on-one coverage to the outside. Smith on the true freshman Campbell. Back shoulder throw, more of a comeback, not really a back shoulder. That was a design lock comeback, and Jake Bentley is finding his calmness now.
Gary said it. Tyson Campbell, true freshman for the Bulldogs. You don't see a lot of true freshmen playing corner in the SEC. Bentley again has time. Fires out of bounds, incomplete, intended for Ortre Smith was the closest guy.
You know, that's that mental clock, though, that Jake Bentley has had to learn as he's become more and more of a veteran in this league. Last year in one game against Texas A&M, he was sacked 7 times. Last time Georgia was here to play, he was sacked 5 times. He's learning. If it's not there, do not make a negative play. At least give me 2nd and 10.
Deebo Samuel back in there. There's how they've mixed it so far. 2 runs, 5 passes in the last 3 minutes. I think we had a clock issue. Let's see if they've got it straightened out.
Right now, Will Muschamp is going, I got to finish the drive here with points.
Yep.
I got to at least get 3 points on the board here.
Bentley throws right back at the freshman again, and it's complete to Brian Edwards.
See, that's where the veteran, that's what you live with. Okay, you live with Jake Bentley. Remember, he started as a true freshman when he could have still been playing high school football. So you live with a rough first year. Then the second year you see him grow, and now it's time to win. He saw that corner blitz. He's seen a ton of them. It was no big deal. He just served notice to Mel Tucker, the defensive coordinator at Georgia. Don't give me that simple stuff. You better come up something more than that.
Son of a coach. Bentley all by himself in the backfield. Jake's going to throw a short one to Edwards on a crossing route. Edwards got a first down inside the 20. Flag down, but he got it to the 15-yard line. That's what you see about the penalty.
Georgia used a 5-man rush that time, and they vacated the area exactly where Bentley picked him. I don't know if they had a legal formation. I don't know what's going on here. I got to be honest.
It was an 18-yard gain unless it's coming back. And Matt Leffler is our referee. And here's the call.
There is no foul for pass interference. The pass was caught behind the line. First down.
Georgia dials up a 5-man blitz coming around the corner. I think that's where they called the pass interference, but he comes right down the line of scrimmage. Oh, it was a pick. They were going to call a pick right there, but because the ball was caught behind the line of scrimmage, they picked up the flag.
Pretty good eyes by the officiating crew, huh? They don't have that blue line to look at like you do.
Yes, but it was a hair close. You know, I don't know if it was behind or not.
So South Carolina's worked it to the Georgia 15. Here's a little option and a pitch to Williams. He's run out of bounds after maybe a yard. South Carolina's red zone. Last year they weren't very good. Last week they were 5 out of 9 in their opening season win. As Gary said, they've got to get points out of this drive.
It's not a hard sell for Atlanta fans to know how important the red zone is right now.
Oh, tell me about it. We're talking about the Falcons. That was brutal. Here's Samuel throwing to the end zone. Wide open. Brian Edwards. Touchdown, South Carolina.
A great answer for this South Carolina offense.
We told you when Deebo Samuel comes in motion, it's either going to be an end around or something else. That time it was something else.
Yeah, and Kirby laid it right out to us. When they put him in motion, something big is going to happen, right?
Parker White, extra point is good.
Well, remember, Will Muschamp in 2014 ran a fake field goal and scored against Georgia in his last game, his last year in Florida. This time, you simulate the crack, wide open, and Deebo Samuel shows he can do more than just dress.
place is so much fun. They've been looking forward to this one since spring practice. Week 2 against Georgia at Williams-Brice. And now they're right in the thick of it after a 75-yard drive at 11 plays, a little over 4.5 minutes. Deebo Samuel to Brian Edwards touchdown, 14-7. Parker White has got it teed up. We talked about how dangerous Deebo Samuel can be as a return man. Don't ever cut Mecole Hardman short, that guy.
Oh, that's for sure.
And Georgia will start at the 25. Both kickers doing a good job of keeping it out of the hands of great return men. We talked about the old friends, Will Muschamp, Kirby Smart. Kind of a mirror thing when you take a look at the two coaches and their careers. Played at Georgia in the 90s. Coached at Valdosta State, the Blazers in the early 2000s, then with Nick Saban at LSU. And then with the Dolphins as well, with Coach Saban in the mid-2000s. And here they are as head coaches, both in their third seasons. And locked in a good one here in the first quarter in Columbia. Swift behind from, gets the handle, and they blow it dead.
And did they get it off? Did they get the snap off in time?
Delay
Nope.
game.
Nope.
Offense, number 11. 5-yard penalty. First down.
You can't have that happen after the kickoff brings you out to the 25-yard line. You have to be a little more ready than that. It's one of those penalties that drive coaches crazy. And it puts Georgia behind the sticks, first and 15. Back to a 2 tight end set with Werner and Nada lined up on the left. Simmons in motion, gets the carry. Right, a stiff arm out there. Got a decent game. And now a flag comes in from the secondary.
Another one.
There's the Georgia offensive line, the biggest they've probably ever had, averaging 329 pounds, something like that.
This is a direct result of what Kirby wanted when he hired Sam Pittman. He did the same thing at Arkansas, build a big, massive offensive line, and then go from there. So 2 penalties to potentially stall this drive out.
They're going to walk it back inside the 15, just outside the 12. First and 22. Georgia going the wrong direction. DeAndre Swift takes it back the other direction for a good gain. Got it out to the 23. Sherrod Green made the stop.
The balance of the Georgia football team a year ago with a young quarterback is what got them through the SEC and allowed them to even come back in those games, helped them on the road. When you have the ability to run the ball, that's how you can win a game at Notre Dame. I mean, the one game, you know, that Auburn game was the one game where Auburn was just too good that day.
We haven't seen any RPO from Georgia today, have we?
Nothing yet.
Again, Nada comes over now in a slot to the left from, flushed from the pocket, gets a couple on the scramble. That brings up 3rd down and 4. Pardon me, 3rd down and 10.
So the 2 penalties have now put Georgia into back-to-back passing situations. Can the South Carolina front put some pressure on the quarterback? There's got to be a weakness in Georgia. You got to keep probing. They can't be good run blockers, good RPO guys, and good pass blockers, can they? We'll see.
Here comes a blitz from, has time running out of it, goes deep, right into the hands of the defenders. And it's Fenton on the interception. Gamecocks have got it back on an interception.
Well, they got the pressure. Javon Kinlaw, number 3, was the guy that got in there. Put the pressure on the quarterback. Watch Fromm have to throw this, basically, I thought, with maybe hands right to his face. Here comes Kinlaw. Nope, didn't get him in the head. Good call. But as he threw it up for grabs, the receiver stopped. And as he let it go, it's a turnover on a 3rd down. This all started. 1st down, they didn't have anything going. They don't come out and snap the clock. Then they get the penalty to move it back long yardage, ends up in a turnover.
Tyler Simmons was the receiver that just stopped on his route. And so it was an easy pick for Rashad Fenton. South Carolina now with an opportunity after the interception. Bentley incomplete. Intended for Jacob August, his tight end.
Well, there's no surprise here. As much as they want to give the ball to Deebo Samuel, number 1, and they found ways to get it to him, obviously the touchdown pass, their best matchup in their mind is to go against the true freshman instead of DeAndre Baker.
You see only 12 yards passing for Georgia so far. 1 completion and 1 interception for Jake Fromm. Second and 10. Play fake. That is a lateral out to Samuel, and he's going to be dropped for a loss. Nice play by J.R. Reed.
J.R. Reed might be one of the best tacklers in college football. He's a great alley runner. What that means is from his safety position, he runs the 2 alleys that are just outside the tackles both directions. He sets in that center field spot, and he just eats up those wide sweeps. He's a sure tackler. He's got great speed. One of the great football players in college football, number 20, J.R. Reed.
His dad was a good one in the NFL for 12 years as a receiver. Here's a 3rd and long now for South Carolina. 4 wide out group for Bentley. And he's in trouble, hit in the backfield. Georgia's going to get to him. Down he goes. First guy was DeAndre Walker. And then Taylor and company cleaned up.
Yeah, coming from the outside that time was DeAndre Walker, number 15. He was over the slot. And watch him come late here. As the rush comes in, he lets it go out, and then he comes right inside. Good stunt. Running back doesn't see him. It would have been his man, and Bentley has to give up the pocket. I said, Mel, you got to get a little sneakier than that, and he did, didn't he?
He sure did. Well, they're going for it on 4th and 10. They're kind of in no man's land out there as far as trying a field goal. So it's Bentley on 4th and long. Throws tipped and intercepted. No, dropped. Georgia had his hands on another one. It was Walker who should have had the interception and couldn't hold it.
Yeah, I don't get this for a couple reasons. Number 1 is, okay, if you're going to go for it, you got to throw the ball past the down marker. Even if he catches this, it's only a 7-yard throw on the play. If you're going to throw the ball one-on-one and you're going to say, my guy's better than your guy, you got to go past the down marker and give you a chance. You go for it on 4th down, you got no chance, even if you execute it.
Doesn't really matter that Walker dropped that because they got the ball in about the same spot as if he had caught it.
Big stop by that Georgia defense.
Yep. Georgia takes over at the 34. Elijah Holyfield in the lineup for the first time today. Behind Jake Fromm. Play action. Fromm's going right back to the air, and he is going long. Going to be a jump ball out there. No, it won't be. It's going to be a flag instead. And Fenton, who had the interception on the last play, is going to have the interference on this one.
Well, one of the things that you always talk about with your defensive backs is what are your ball skills? Okay, I know you can run. I know you can hit. But when the ball's in the air, will you panic? Fenton panicked. The ball's just up there.
Number 16, 15-yard penalty, automatic 1st down.
At this level of play, when you're playing against future NFL players on the other side, let's be honest, you got to give your team a chance on that turnaround, be a center fielder, and knock the thing down.
In this case, the penalty is a lot better than what the outcome would have been because I think it would have been a touchdown.
Well, it would have been, but I thought he had a play on it. I didn't think, it was one of those he would have been beat, where you just tackle the guy because you're beat. He was in position to make a play.
So Georgia's got a 1st down by penalty at the 49-yard line. Holyfield, little sidestep. Fromm's going to try to lead the blocking, and Holyfield dropped after a pickup of 2 or 3.
Yeah, Jameis Williams that time came up just exactly the same way that J.R. Reed did for South Carolina. He comes up this time, he reads it quickly from that safety position, comes up there and makes a play that looks like there's a lot of space and makes it into a successful defensive play for South Carolina.
Georgia 2 yards into South Carolina territory with a 2nd down and 7. Holyfield off the left side. Elijah Holyfield's got a big gain inside the 35 to the 33.
I'll tell you, if you want to watch some good offensive line play, you got to watch Gilliard, number 53, the center. They just manhandle this team right now, creating big space. I'll tell you what, Chubb and Michelle's going to look at this and go, man, I hope I get something like this tomorrow. But I'm going to say to you guys, don't count on it.
13-yard gain and a 1st down. Holyfield again. This time tripped up as he tried to get wide. Nice play by J.C. Horn, the true freshman. As we get an update in New York, a Zaxby's update. Here's Zook.
All right, Ness, everyone knows this combo. Tua Tagovailoa to Devontae Smith. 41 yards, just like the national title game winner. But Austin Jones, 1 for 3 on extra points. As we go back to you.
Yeah, you got to have some problems, I guess, with the team.
There's one question you shouldn't ask.
Brian Herring in the lineup for the first time today and in motion out of the Georgia backfield. Whoa, Nicole Hardman got blasted, blown up by Keyshawn Nixon.
Well, that time, you know, that we've talked a lot about Jake Fromm being ahead of the game and understanding everything, but you can see the corner. He's looking at the quarterback the whole way. It was zone, ball floated out there, and that was almost a bait throw. The corner's saying, go ahead, please throw to that guy. Please throw to him, because I got him.
He did a good job of just holding on to the football on that hit. 3rd and 10. Werner, the tight end, to the top of the screen. 3 wideouts to Fromm's left. Here comes the rush. Throw is complete. Short of the 1st down, though, at the 28-yard line, Riley Ridley.
So now it's going to be the same decision for Kirby Smart, although he's got a little more distance maybe with his kicker.
Rodrigo Blankenship, who really came on last year to go from unknown to preseason All-American on some people's lists, is going to line up for a long one. His career long was in the Rose Bowl against Oklahoma, 55-yarder. This will be a 45-yard attempt. Blankenship's kick on the way. Just tucked it inside the left upright. It's good. So Georgia adds to its lead with a half-minute remaining in the 1st quarter. Blankenship from 45. Rodrigo Blankenship set to kick off. Deebo Samuel hasn't been able to touch one of his kickoffs so far today. Touch this one either, so they bring it out to the 25, and it'll be in the hands of Jake Bentley again. His dad, Bobby Bentley's a running backs coach, and there's the boys. Burns High School, Duncan, South Carolina. His brother Schuler. It's a family affair, basically. His other brothers on the strength and conditioning staff here at South Carolina as well. You get those quarterbacks that are guys that played for their dads, and there's something special about them.
And they've been being trained, watching tape since they were like 8 years old.
Yeah. There's his numbers so far. Rico Dowdle back behind him. He pumped once and now a streak down the sideline. Almost intercepted again.
Very close.
LeCount was out of bounds.
I think this was an RPO that was misread by Jake Bentley. He wanted to throw the quick hitch but he got caught with a roll-up corner. Baker's in there. You see Debo read it right. When you get the corner rolled up with the safety over the top, you've got to go long. He wanted to throw it. He double-clutched it, and he's lucky he got away with it.
Well, that was really close to
Yes,
being an interception, too. Here's a play fake and a throw out and a flat incomplete intended for Edwards. Good coverage by Campbell. David Marshall got a little bit of pressure on Bentley that time.
Yeah, David Marshall's had a good spot start in this football game. He's deflected a pass, and he's put pressure on the quarterback twice.
Here's a 3rd and long again for South Carolina. Hasn't been sacked yet, but he's been harassed a few times.
And I'll tell you, this hurry-up is...
Prior to the previous play, we were paged. The previous play is under further review.
Oh, so they're going to get that play over. Remember, the thing was close to being an interception?
Right. Maybe that's what they're looking at, whether or not he actually got his foot down.
Yep. You said it was very close.
I thought at one point LeCount almost got his left foot down. Oh, man. See, it looks like just the tip of his toe, maybe, if you see some turf come up.
See, you can't tell from this one. I can't reverse it yet from just this look. Does not look like he completely has the ball under control. See, he doesn't completely have it yet right now.
Here's another look, different angle. Wow.
Now let's look at his toe. Is his toe on the line? It could be. It's very close. Remember, it was called incomplete.
Tell you what, if he's got white cleats on, that's an interception. But in this case, I think it's his toe that's out of bounds.
Well, you don't know when he has control of the ball and the foot. Another look at it. Could you overturn that? I could not overturn it. I don't think he has control of the ball until now. His foot's down. Boy, they might call that an interception. The last look, I'm saying right at the end there, that last look, I thought his foot was on the green. I don't know if our truck could hear me. That last look, I think we saw it. Kirby's got a great view of it right here. Now watch this. The foot comes up. He's got the ball now. I think he's got it in his right hand and he's controlling the ball. This is going to be really interesting. How aggressive is the replay booth on this one?
Gerald Hodges is our replay official. Had a chance to talk to him before the game briefly. They've got a big decision to make.
Boy, the ball was still kind of turning. Does he have control with one hand? We're going to see if Hodges, and with the help from Birmingham, how they decide this one.
After review, it was an incomplete pass. Please reset the game clock to 23 seconds. It'll be 2nd down.
I think what really held up here is that there wasn't enough conclusively to take that replay official and from help in Birmingham to overrule the call. I think if it would have been called an interception, he might have stayed with that as well.
So we're back where we started. A little drama built there.
Well, actually, it's an extra play, though, for South Carolina on this thing.
Right.
Instead of 3rd down, it's 2nd down.
And Bentley wasn't ready for the ball. Now it's 3rd down. Jake's looking at his center as if to say, hey, I wasn't quite ready for this.
Oh, yes. Yes, he was still looking around at that time. Remember the new center, Linnell Stanley, it's his first year playing center for this team. He's been playing guard a lot. First year at center all through the spring and the fall. But, you know, the communications is big when you're in that shotgun.
We got a timeout with 16 seconds remaining in the first quarter. South Carolina timeout. Georgia leading by 10. If you're wondering why South Carolina would take a timeout with 16 seconds to go in the quarter, Will Muschamp is saying, I wasn't calling timeout, I was clapping. And And so,
yes, Will was the guy that the official, the side judge, thought called timeout. Will got upset. He goes, listen, there's no need for a timeout. There's 16 seconds left. I was just encouraging my guys, hang in there, long football game, and the official read it as a timeout.
seen a little bit of everything in the first quarter, haven't we?
Yes.
3rd down and 12. Gamecocks have to get to the 35 for a first down here as Bentley goes across the middle, completes it, but it's not a first down, and down goes one of our officials.
You can't find a more crowded place to throw the football
Than the umpire being in the way.
The umpire, 2 Georgia defenders, and a yard short of the first down.
Last week we had an umpire with a missed tackle.
Yes.
That time he's in on it and helped make the stop.
I mean, any closer, he could have called for targeting.
17-7 at the end of 1. We'll return to Columbia after this message and a word from your local station.
Scotland.
17-7 gets set to start the second quarter. May not have a bearing on the outcome of the game, but there's what Will Muschamp was doing when the side judge thought he was calling timeout.
And his play sheet kind of hit his other hand, and the side judge said, no, I thought you were calling timeout.
Now the punt return, Akil Crumpton got a little bit out of that before he's knocked out of bounds. And so Georgia will take over with a 10-point lead. Back here in Columbia on a warm day. 93 degrees at kickoff. Brad Nessler, Gary Danielson. Good ball game so far, I guess, with the exception of the interception.
Yes, but if a worrisome sign for South Carolina, I think, that they held in there defensively, really only given up 1 touchdown, but 25 plays. In this heat, South Carolina, 25 defensive plays, 4 times 25.
Yeah.
That's 100 plays in 90-degree heat.
And for the Biggins on the front line defensively and offensively, you think about depth on a day this warm. Brian Harrion on the carry. He got a nice game, picked up about 4. And 17 points allowed in the first quarter. It's the most since Vandy 11 years ago. And of course, one of those was a big interception that ended up being a 1-yard fumble return for Juwan Taylor at the end of a 56-yard run back out of interception. 2nd and 5, Harrion going the other way. Not going to get to the edge. Dropped at the line of scrimmage. It will bring up 3rd down. Our aerial coverage is sponsored by State Farm, here to help life go right. So look in on Williams-Brice Stadium. 80,000 plus on hand for this SEC East battle. And a lot of them are going to make some noise right here because they know this is a big 3rd down for Georgia. And likewise for the South Carolina defense. Going to flare it out. DeAndre Swift got the first down somehow. He caught it at the line of scrimmage, was almost knocked out of bounds, and somehow slipped away.
Yeah, I thought perhaps it might have been a face mask that time by number 4 for South Carolina that time, Bryson Allen Williams. But I thought maybe face mask, maybe a horse collar, but the strength of DeAndre Swift just pulls through for a first down. Big missed tackle. One of the things that Will Muschamp really circled for us Friday when we visited with him is we cannot miss tackles against these guys. They will make us pay dearly with their speed.
Swift, a spin move on the inside. He spins backwards. Nice defensive play. Bryson Allen Williams and Rashad Fenton in on the stop.
Yeah, defensive coordinator that time for South Carolina, Tavares Robinson, dials in the corner blitz, and that allows Allen Williams to cut inside because he knows he's got help from that corner coming from the outside, and runs right across the face and makes the tackle. It all has to be coordinated. If your defensive end is going to sink inside that tackle, you better have either an inside linebacker scraping out or the corner coming from the outside.
Jake Fromm 4 out of 5, but for only 25 yards so far. He's going to throw it here on 2nd and 11. And fires incomplete, intended for Tyler Simmons. I think that was tipped out there, maybe. And it brings up third down. Justin Fields, a highly touted freshman who played last week, ready on the sideline in case Georgia needs him. Kirby Smart said, our plan is we don't have a plan. We'd love to get him some playing time, but that would probably mean they're comfortably ahead. They're not right now. They're 10 up with a 3rd and 11 with Fromm at the controls. Jake's in trouble, and down he goes. And it'll bring up the punting situation for Georgia.
Well, Georgia's keeping help in for Fromm. What they called slide protected that time. Everybody just turned and blocked the gap to their right. They stuffed it up a little bit, but no one opened downfield that Jake wanted to take a gamble on. When he came out of the pocket, he actually ran right into a defender that time, Thomas, number 5.
So freshman punter Jake Kamara in to kick. He got a lot of leg into this one, maybe too much, and it's a touchback. He had a couple of those last week too. He can kick it a mile, but you got to keep it in the field of play if at all possible. So a nice stop for South Carolina. They know their offense now, down 10, can get it back here in the second quarter. First half from Bryce Williams Stadium. Let's test your knowledge with today's Aflac trivia question. In 1980, George Rogers won the Heisman Trophy. Georgia's Herschel Walker finished 3rd. Who was the runner-up? Who finished number 2? There's George with the Heisman and the folks out before the game. George, the pride and joy of Duluth, Georgia. We play in a few charity golf tournaments together. George calls them his Eaton pants.
Eaton pants. Yeah. They expand.
They expand. That's right.
I got some of those, to be honest.
I wish I had shorts on right now. South Carolina starts at the 20. Dowdle behind Bentley will get the handle. Man, he got undercut in a hurry. Nice hit by Natrez Patrick, the inside linebacker. Patrick and Monty Rice, the two guys basically that are trying to take over for the aforementioned, Gary mentioned, Roquan Smith. That's some big shoes to fill.
We were here when South Carolina in 2010 knocked off Alabama. Alabama came in here number 1. Similar type team, physical, a lot of talent. And what South Carolina did was slow the game down, only 57 plays, made first downs, and shortened it. Completely opposite strategy being used today for South Carolina.
There's a better run by Dowdle. Michael Carter made the stop. Talked about Georgia having such great talent a year ago and that they'll all be playing on CBS or at least in the NFL tomorrow. Roquan 8th overall by Chicago. Lorenzo Carter, the Giants. Davin Bellamy, those are the linebackers. And then we, of course, mentioned in the pregame Nick Chubb, Sony Michel playing for the Browns and the Patriots, respectively. That's a lot of talent to lose.
Yeah, and unfortunately for Georgia, they only signed 7 5-star players. I don't know what they're going to do.
I knew that was coming. 3rd down and 3.
They are loading. Got to give it. They're really building this program.
Bentley. Delayed blitz by Georgia. He gets it across the middle for a first down to Keel Pollard, the tight end.
Nice job by Bentley that time. He had protection. He was able to look to his left. He didn't like it. He knew he had the drag route coming underneath. Watch, he looks left, then he's patient enough to watch the crossing route come around, and he drops it off. That's what you ask your quarterback to do.
This time on first down, a quick throw out. Donald makes the catch, breaks the tackle, and he's got another first down. So he dropped a couple in the first quarter. He holds on to that one, and they move the chains.
That's the same play that bounced off his hands for a touchdown. A little more, comfortable throw into the stomach maybe for Donald, but, if you're going to go out for a pass, you got to catch him. That's part of the offense.
Tyson Williams in the backfield now, and he'll get the carry off the left side, and Williams, a big opener, goes for 9 more, and South Carolina's got it moving right now.
See, that's what I think. In that game, Garcia, Alshon Jeffrey were the big guys in the passing game, but Lattimore was able to make just enough runs. He ran the ball 23 times, Marcus Lattimore did, for 93 yards. There was nothing big, nothing huge, but just enough to keep the defense honest.
Gamecocks in Bulldog territory to 49 with a 2nd and 1. They get the 1 and a few more for Williams. Tough run.
And Marcus Lattimore is with the Will Muschamp's staff here. He works with the players on off-field issues. I saw him out at practice when I was here.
One of my favorite players ever for South Carolina.
Totally. And his technique was the torpedo run. Get down low and make those first downs. Give them nothing to hit. All knees and shoulder pads to tackle.
First down at the 44. Third first down of the drive for Bentley and company. Play action. Bentley comes up firing wide open on the run as Crosby, the tight end, collared down at the 26-yard line.
What a beautifully designed play. If you can run the ball, you can play action the ball, and that's exactly what happened. It's just enough run. Really, you know, it's going to be hard to run the ball for 200 yards against these guys. But if you can give me 125 yards, because the last two games, they've been 50 or below. I think 62 yards and 50-some yards running against this Georgia defense. They need 75 to 125, I think.
That pitch and catch was good for 18. This one's blown dead. Might have been the right tackle on a false start.
For the snap, timeout, Georgia.
Georgia took a timeout. That's why we had a break in the action with 8:18 remaining in the first half. South Carolina on the move.
Stevens all new with.
You mentioned Alshon Jeffrey about 5 minutes ago. He's in the house. One of the great ones that played here in South Carolina.
Yeah, he was a mismatch. He was one of those guys that Alabama had to try to find a way to cover. It distorted their defense just enough. So far in this game, Deebo Samuel has not been able to distort the defense for Georgia. He's had the sweep and the touchdown pass, but nothing in the passing game that has forced Georgia to change their game plan at all.
Yeah, if you said South Carolina was going to have a touchdown at this point, you'd think he would have been the guy catching it, maybe not throwing it.
But you know, they had an 11-play drive that took the heat off their defense.
Yeah.
Now they got a 7-play drive here in 1st and 10. So they got an opportunity to have an 11-play, 10-play drive, put points in points. That's going to even up those plays that we talked about in that on camera that could have been a problem for this South Carolina defense.
We saw 4 first downs already in this drive that's taken to the Georgia 26. Bentley gonna loft one for Dowdle. Incomplete, and LeCount got his hands on it again at the end of the play.
Yeah, he laid this ball up and up the back, wheel route. You know, everybody's got this play. Got man-to-man with the middle linebacker. Good coverage. I thought if the ball could have been thrown more like a back shoulder throw right at him, you know, he might have had better chance, because if you lob it that much, the safety's going to get there.
Natrez Patrick did a pretty nice job of staying with him.
I think you got to throw it right at his back of his head, basically, and see if you can get a play.
Williams hit at the line, bounces off, still on his feet.
Yes.
Didn't go down, just kept crawling and going over the top of guys.
Well, Georgia is refusing also to bring their safeties up in the box. They're going to say to South Carolina, prove it. Can you run the ball? We think our front 7 or 6 in this spread formation can stop you. And now the running game has gotten just enough help that maybe, Mel Tucker and Kirby Smart will bring the blitz. They didn't do it at all last week. They didn't show anything last week.
Tyson got about 4 yards crawling over people. Now it's a little flare-out screen to Williams, and he's got the first down inside the 15.
Perfect call. It's actually the same call that South Carolina had on before the timeout was called by Georgia. And this time they caught him again. They caught him in a screen one-on-one. If J.R. Reed doesn't make the tackle, it's a touchdown. He made the tackle. But as you said, enough for a first down.
Back in the red zone at the 13-yard line. Impressive Gamecock drive right here. Bentley rolling to throw. Wide open man is Shi Smith. Makes the catch and tiptoes out of bounds around the 6.
You got a quarterback that you believe in, okay, and you think, I can let him throw because I trust he won't give me a bad play. Then as a coordinator, you can call anything in the offense. You see how nicely he put that ball right there. Nothing bad could have happened on that play.
Picked up 7. 2nd and 3. Trip receivers down to the bottom portion of your screen.
Well, they're going to bring 5 at least. Georgia brings 5.
Bentley running out of time. He's going to go down. DeAndre Walker gets to him.
Yeah, they pinched him that time. They brought 5. They challenged every offensive lineman. You're going to have to block one-on-one. 5 guys are coming. Watch the 5 offensive linemen have no help. Got to take him. Gets a little pressure. Nobody wide open in the end zone. Got to throw that one away maybe. But there it is, second down. Third down, excuse me.
3rd and 6. Bentley lofts it too deep. Incomplete. Intended for Shi Smith, but he threw it right into the hedges and into the camera guy back there. And it's 4th down.
Carolina wanted to run that cross receiver. They wanted to pick for a crossing receiver. But Georgia passes off players. Nobody to throw to, so he basically has to throw it into the hedges.
So Parker White will come on to try a field goal. It's going to be about a 26-yard attempt. Field goal percentage was not great a year ago. He was 14 of 25 last year. This one should be a chip shot for him. And up and good. So a good looking drive stalls, but still it gets South Carolina back to within a touchdown. 17-10 Georgia with just under 6 to go in the half. The touchdown, 17-10, just under 6 to go in the half. So we check in with Jamie.
Brad, heat index on the field up and around 100 degrees. I don't care how much time you've spent practicing in these conditions, it is hot. Now the biggest difference between the 2 sidelines, Georgia travels with these oxygen tanks that have been at every road game since Kirby Smart became head coach. South Carolina does not have them. Secondly, this sideline for Georgia is just getting blasted by the sun. As the sun moves off the stadium, South Carolina gets a nice shade, but you just get roasted on this sideline for Georgia.
No doubt, that's an advantage for the home team. They always try to pull that off.
Yeah, it's, as we talked about the plays, 38-19 is starting to add up.
Parker White, who just capped off a 71-yard, 14-play drive with his field goal, set to kick. Nico Hardman watches it go and brings it out to the 25-yard line. A few minutes ago, we showed you George Rogers and asked you the Aflac trivia question, which was, if you missed it, South Carolina's George Rogers won it. Georgia's Herschel Walker was 3rd, who was a runner-up in 1980. The answer, Hugh Green of Pittsburgh.
You knew that one, by the way.
I did.
Got that. You got that on Friday.
Took us a little while.
Oh, it didn't take you that long.
What a great player.
Yes.
In college and the pros.
I saw him up close and personal, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, too close and personal.
Twice a year. Tampa.
Pittsburgh's got a big game tonight against Penn State. A little bit of pressure now on Jake Fromm. Didn't look that good in the last series. He got away with one to Hardman, and he's going to be close to a first down.
That ball was almost undercut that time. That could have been a disaster. Nixon, number 9, the senior, read that play, beat the block, and he almost got in the throwing lane. If it wasn't just a little bit, that was just delayed a little bit, that could have gone the other way.
Instead, it goes for almost 9.5. Second down, less than a yard. DeAndre Swift in the backfield. Gets the carry, gets the first down, and bounces off to get an extra yard. DJ Brunson made the hit.
Well, remember, when coming into the second half, we've seen a lot of DeAndre Swift. James Cook, the freshman running back, will be eligible to play in the second half, giving him one more body to run that ball. Yeah. True freshman suspended because of a hit in the first week's game.
Targeting foul on a punt last week against Austin Peay. So Georgia with a first down at the 5-minute mark. Swift and Holyfield both in the Georgia backfield with Fromm. Now Swift will go in motion out of it. Fromm fires complete. Terry Godwin giving ground to gain ground, and he's got to pick up a 12 and a first down. Talked about him when we talked about the lineups. He'd been battling a calf injury a little bit. Georgia's leading returning receiver and kind of a guy that Jake Fromm can go. He's a senior. He knows how to get where I have to get the ball.
He's earned the trust after that catch against Notre Dame and his type of plays he can make. He goes out there to curl, and as a quarterback, you're comfortable throwing the ball in traffic to number 5.
First down at the 49 at the 4.5-minute mark. DeAndre Swift up the middle, taking the tackler with him. Javon Kinlaw, the defensive tackle, made the stop.
It's the interesting part of the game if you're South Carolina, needing a stop so badly because of where we are in the second quarter. Remember, Georgia will get the ball to start the second half. 17-10 game. Before their offense comes on the field again, it could get 31-10. They're not careful. They got to get a stop here.
Swift goes out. Elijah Holyfield back in. Second down and 4. Holyfield cuts it to the corner. He's got the first down, and a stiff arm takes him out of bounds with the first down.
Yeah, Riley Ridley again with the block on the outside. That's about the 5th time we've seen one of the receivers, this time Ridley right there. Riley grabs a little jersey that seemed inconsequential on the play, but anytime you do it, you give that referee an opportunity to move it back. You know, I know a lot of Georgia fans were thinking, okay, we're struggling in offense. Why wouldn't we put Justin Fields in the game and give us a little kick? The problem is when you do that, if he does give you a kick, you got problems as a coach.
Yes, you do.
Because you're going to get asked it a million times.
Play action for Fromm. Oh, and he is leveled. I don't know if Elijah Holyfield missed a blitz pickup or it was just Fennell coming on a late rush, but he drops the Georgia quarterback for a big loss.
I'll tell you, Sherrod Greene, number 44 on the right side of your screen. I don't know if we're going to see it way over here to your right side. I thought got a grab on the receiver. There it is, a grab right there. See the jersey? I don't know. The sack happened so fast, but Greene had a hold of the receiver because there was no help deep. That could have been a big play. I think the coordinator, Jim Chaney, dialed the right play, just not enough protection to make it work.
Fennell, a Georgia native out of Loganville, coming up with a big sack there. Now Holyfield hangs his way off the left side, gets back close to the original line of scrimmage.
Here we go. 3rd and long. Who can put the pressure on? Who can stop the play?
Holyfield out, Swift in.
A conversion here by Georgia could change the whole look of the second half of this game.
If they tried a field goal for Blankenship, it would be a very long one from this spot on the field.
Yes.
3rd and 12, empty backfield.
See if Brunson can make a play. He's been quiet all game. He's their best pass rusher.
That's Nauta, the tight end in motion down the middle and just off the fingertips of Akil Crumpton, incomplete.
Gets the guy he wants, plenty of space, man-to-man coverage, just outside a little bit would have been a good catch. Let him a little bit too much on the play. What would it be, a 55-yard field goal here?
Would have been around 55, and that was his career long.
Yeah, I like the punt strategy in this situation. I do not want to give, with the number of plays South Carolina has run, I don't want to get my defense out there at midfield right now.
Camarda, the punter, will kick it away near his own. Near the 50, I should say. End over end job. This time he keeps it in the field of play. Fair catch taken around the 8-yard line. So South Carolina, remember they only have 2 timeouts left because of the miscommunication a little bit earlier, but they do have the ball back. Trailing by 7. Sports Network, the SEC rolls into the Rockies. Arkansas takes on the Rams of Colorado State on the 24-hour home of CBS Sports. Carter Blackburn, Aaron Taylor, John Schriffen will bring you that one.
So Ness, you trust your quarterback, but even when he's on target, there's been some things that have gone wrong in this game. Now, you're backed up. Okay, the game is, 1 touchdown game, but a tip ball that you got 1 bad one, but 2 you kind of got away with. Are you willing to take the chance down here backed up inside your own 10-yard line? Georgia has 2 timeouts. I think more likely Georgia will try to play the clock and get it back than South Carolina. I think South Carolina tries to get out of here.
Bentley, short throw over the middle. Out to Brian Edwards. And remember, as I said, South Carolina only has 2 timeouts left.
They got a long way to go. One little mistake could be big here. You got it. Are they trusting Jake Bentley? That's the question. Stay out.
Not to Donald. Got a first down the sideline. And now they got some breathing room.
So Donald, who dropped that first one for a touchdown, This was a much tougher catch right here. But it looked like Jake took something off of this one. Tried to just hand a long handoff to him that time.
Get it to the 31-yard line with 1:33 to go. Bentley. This one's tipped again at the line of scrimmage.
That's the danger.
Yep, Michael Barnett got a hand on that, I think, the nose tackle.
94 in the middle.
Yep,
Jumps right at. They didn't even have to jump that high when you're throwing the ball short. That's really a good defense against a short throw. You know, years and years ago, that short throw wasn't there. And then, you know, football became more of a short control passing game, and the linemen swatting it down became more important if they got blocked to raise those hands.
Bentley, here comes heat again from the backside. The throw is caught. And short of the first down, but a nice catch by Deebo Samuel.
Sure did. Really good that he hung on to that football, because Baker really came in and collisioned him. He stretched out, watch Baker come out, play through him, tucked the ball away really well, Samuel did on the play.
An all-important 3rd and 1 right here to try to keep things alive offensively. Bentley, the short throw in the middle is good for the first down to Samuel again. And they'll move the chains. Well, they started inside their own 10. They're out to the 43-yard line.
Well, you know, we go right back to this is a 3rd-year player and has the complete trust of Will Muschamp with the football.
Bentley down the middle again. This one in and out of the hands of Samuel.
He was on Patrick, the middle linebacker that time. Had the perfect matchup. You have Samuel on the middle linebacker. You know he's going to run right across. They're playing a combo defense. The receivers cross, so the Georgia players pass him along. Had the perfect call, good throw, and he doesn't get it.
Gary, Jake Bentley's done a great job of it. The last 3 or 4 shotgun snaps have been down around his ankles, which isn't giving him as much time to look over the field.
And it's really hard to refocus in those situations. You got to depend on those.
Williams in the backfield with Bentley. This one's a perfect snap. Jake lobs it out there to Williams. And he's still going. Georgia trying to rip the ball out of there.
Will's got to take a timeout here now. He must. Yes, he did take a timeout. Good one. You got 2. You don't make the first down. You have to now burn one of them.
Bentley at the last moment got it to number 27. He got it out to the 48-yard line. Timeout, South Carolina.
Domino's delivery drivers are experts.
In less than a minute, the Geico halftime report. Adam, Rick, and BJ will have all the scores and highlights of what's going on around college football so far today. Talk a little about this one. Look ahead to what is in store for us later on this afternoon and tonight's Geico halftime report.
A lot of talent on the field, but the one that jumps out the most to me is number 15 for Georgia, DeAndre Walker. He's almost been unblockable out there.
Bentley fires incomplete. A big lick put on Rico Dowdle out there by Richard LeCount, and Rico slow to get up.
You know what I think? LeCount pulled off on the play. He knew it was a potential play where you got a defenseless receiver. Watch him slow down. Just hits him with his shoulder. He did not lead with his helmet that time. All those calls over 3, 4, or 5 years, especially, had that time for LeCount pulling off. Again, DeAndre Walker came around the corner. See, shoulder on, that's a good play. Didn't leave his feet, didn't lunge on the play at all.
We talked about DeAndre Walker, and he's not up yet either for Georgia.
Watch, he's on his feet. He doesn't throw at the receiver. Good play, good football position. And as you say, I watched DeAndre Walker on the play. He put pressure, but it was late.
Dowdle makes his way to the sideline, and Walker doesn't. He's still down. Senior out of Fairburn, Georgia. He led the Georgia team in sacks last year with 5.5, quarterback hurries, all the things that he's done through 2 quarters here. And he can ill afford to lose a guy with that kind of talent out there.
Yeah, because even the throw when he tossed it early, when he had to get rid of the ball, that was Walker that was pressuring the quarterback. This time he wraps around, comes from the outside and gets there late to Bentley after he delivers the football. Coming around the corner right here. And it looks like he kind of just gets caught up in the trash there as we pan towards the football.
And if it's any indication of when he got up, we might have seen the last of him today because he looked woozy at best. That means a freshman, Brenton Cox, will have to take his spot as he's going to head to the locker room. In the meantime, it's 4th down. Job the punt.
No, not a great punt. Not a great punt. No field position. It's going to come way up here about the 35-yard line.
You're right, 33 is where they're going to mark it.
And that's an opportunity now that Georgia will be all go here, I think.
Got 2 timeouts to work with. Only an 18-yard punt.
Georgia didn't even put anybody back on the play. They played completely defensive safe. There's no one back there to catch the ball, and your punter shanks it.
Charlton was considered a preseason first-team All-SEC punter. That was not an All-SEC punt, that's for sure. So that's an empty backfield. Jake Fromm from the 33. Throws complete to Nada, the tight end, who might have a first down. It was very close, maybe a little bit shy. And down to 32 seconds.
Kirby took a timeout.
So they have 1 remaining. We'll take it with them. 32 seconds till halftime. Georgia with the ball and a touchdown lead. Georgia with 1 timeout remaining. You see the line that would be Rodrigo Blankenship's length of his longest field goal.
So even though Georgia completed that pass, that was a win for South Carolina because it wasn't for a first down and forced a call of a timeout by Georgia.
So they're about 20 yards away from field goal range right now. Nico Harmon in motion. From late pressure, but he got it away and he got it complete to Riley Ridley. And Ridley steps out of bounds. That stops things with 26 seconds.
Got to give credit to this offensive line for Georgia. You know, they're big and strong. They're known as run blockers. They featured last year with a young quarterback a lot of RPOs where they weren't asked to pass block a lot in situations. It looks like they're much improved in that area.
Just outside the Gamecock 45-yard line. Georgia with a first down, trying to get a late drive here for some points before halftime. Fromm fires near side, got it complete. Ridley again. Riley got the first down. Diving through the would-be tackle of J.C. Horn, and they'll move the chains again.
You know, one of the things that happens that when you watch Jake Fromm throw the ball, he's really good at throwing the ball outside the hashes. He threw it all last year.
Fromm again, flushed out of the pocket. He's going to head to the sideline, get what he can, and get out of bounds. So now they're in field goal range with 6 seconds remaining.
Yeah, I think you got to kick the field goal right here.
I do too.
Yep. I mean, what's the good? You're not going to be able to throw the ball deep enough to get a touchdown because if it's incomplete, half is over. So the shanked punt could cost South Carolina 3 points. Could.
The earlier field goal was from 45. This will be from 44. Blankenship to try to tack on 3 more before the break for the Bulldogs. And South Carolina's going to take its final timeout.
I don't think in 90-degree here you're allowed to say he's icing them.
No. No. If anybody's getting iced, it's going to be at halftime. So they'll let Rodrigo Blankenship think about it a little bit. As I mentioned last year, he went from walk-on with no scholarship to a scholarship to a folk hero. And they call him Hot Rod. He got rid of the beard. We still have a picture of him with a beard, but he's majoring in broadcast journalism, wants your job, so he figured he had to get rid of the beard.
He's the right age. I'll be just about ready to start.
So he'll line back up. There's with the beard.
I think you and him will look great together.
Yeah. He looks like Abe Lincoln there.
So, what do you think? What do you think?
All right, Hot Rod, you get another shot here after the timeout from 44. Kick on the way. Perfect.
Cool. That was good from 60.
Georgia gets a late field goal. Nice looking drive when they didn't have a lot to work with, but they end up with a field goal, and it stretches their lead back to 10 at intermission. Georgia halfway to what would be a huge at intermission. Georgia halfway to what would be a huge SEC East win, but still a lot of football left. Let's go down to Jamie with Coach Muschamp.
Coach, a challenging few opening series for your guys to this game. What did you see from them in those series, and then how'd they settle in?
Well, we responded. We got down a cheap one on the interception. You go down 14-0 against a really good football team, but our kids fought their ass off and put them back themselves in the game.
You're rushing for just about 30 yards, throwing for almost 160. Are you okay with that balance?
Well, we just need to continue to try and run the football because we can't get this into a one-dimensional game.
All right, Coach, thanks.
Thanks.
So 20-10, number 3 Georgia leading number 24 South Carolina, and it's time for the Geico halftime report. We head to Zook, Rick, and BJ. Fellas.
All right, Ness, thanks a lot. The future broadcaster making it a 10-point game.
Picked up by Georgia, going the other way. DeAndre Baker is gone. Touchdown. DeAndre Swift trying to get to the edge. He got there. No problem getting warmed up today in Columbia, South Carolina. Just about set to start the third quarter. Third-ranked Georgia with a 10-point lead over the number 24 Gamecocks. Mecole Hardman back deep for Georgia. Neither kicker today has given the opponent an opportunity to return a kick. As they do in the beginning of the game, the fans all wound up. Kick again will be a touchback, and it'll come out to the 25-yard line. Welcome back, everybody. Brad Nessler and Gary Danielson. Jamie's down on the sideline. Partner, South Carolina last year was the closest SEC East opponent, keeping it close enough for Georgia to have a chance to win. They're close enough here, too.
All right, so here's what I think they got to take out. The last big game in the bowl game, they were down 19-3 to Michigan in the middle of the third quarter. They came back. In this game, they got to look at the fact they ran 46 plays against Georgia. That's on pace to be a 92 play. Can they find a way, though, to me, big part of this is neither team's willing to really, to me, give up a play. No big plays. They're not going deep and stretching the field at all vertically.
Georgia on the ground. DeAndre Swift. Swift's got a first down on the first carry of the third quarter. Good for about 13. And they're going to play her down as might be Andrew Thomas, a big left tackle.
Yeah, and that's their, true freshman right tackle a year ago that started every game at right tackle, and now he's playing left tackle. He gets from behind.
He got
player
rolled
falls
up
on him. He's blocking his man out, and then attempted tackle on DeAndre Swift, and he gets rolled up from behind.
Man, that was Isaiah Wynn's spot a year ago, and ended up being the number 1 draft choice of the Patriots, and subsequently got hurt in the preseason, and he's out for the year. And now big number 77, a true freshman, Cade Mays, is going to come in to take this spot. So happens so many times in that pile up in the garbage on the inside.
They say you got to keep, the key to it is keep your legs moving. However, if the guy hits you, there's nothing you can do about it. You can't see him, you can't react to it. Let's just hope that's a hyperextension or a sprain. One of the great football linemen we have in our league.
Jamie talked to Will going to the locker room and talked to Kirby coming out. Jamie?
Yeah, as we wait for that injury to unfold, find out more about that in a second. But Kirby, it's as if he drew it up that way, come out of the half. He said, we got to get back to the run game. In terms of South Carolina's run game, he's happy that he's been able to condense catches for Deebo Samuel with just 4, but not happy about the total 160 yards passing for South Carolina. Also, those 4 penalties they had in the first half. He said, of course, never happy about penalties, but I'm happy with how aggressive we're playing. So, and also DeAndre Walker defensively, he should be able to come back in, guys.
He was the last one coming out of the locker room, Jamie. Exactly when you were talking about it, 3 of the trainers of the staff at Georgia came out with number 15. So maybe a little extra hydration. He got dinged up in the first half, but he's back out there. Doesn't have his helmet on yet, but he doesn't need to with Georgia on offense. And Andrew Thomas.
I'm not going to read anything into this because I saw Clavon Chase on the outstanding defensive end for LSU walk off, and he's done for the year.
Yeah.
So if you're a Georgia fan, you know, I mean, the rest of this game, okay. The rest of the year will be a blow for this football team and for his forward career. One of the, as I say, one of the great offensive linemen we have in the SEC.
So right now, Georgia's going to have their senior at center, but then they got two sophomores at guard, a redshirt freshman at right tackle, a true freshman at left tackle.
Right. And you know the other thing, a year ago this game was 14-7 and a half, and Georgia opened up with the second half with a 75-yard drive and finished in a touchdown. You know that balance. When Kirby looked at the stats, he looked at the same thing I did. 31 passes.
Right.
You know, can we figure out a way to run the ball a little bit more?
So Andrew Thomas goes in the tent. We'll cross our fingers for the left tackle. Meanwhile, number 77 right there takes his spot. On first down, DeAndre Swift maybe got two. Take a look at the trends from the first half. Jake Fromm only 79 yards passing, including an interception, and did have his best drive on that final drive. Bentley, as Gary pointed out, 31 passes in a half. And Deebo Samuel's been held in check with the exception of an end around that he threw a touchdown pass to Brian Edwards. That's the only touchdown for South Carolina so far. Elijah Holyfield with Fromm now in the Georgia backfield. Fromm throws complete. Riley Ridley again and another first down. As he points forward.
You know, Ridley was big in that national championship game, catching 6 balls at a time, while his brother was on the other side wondering what was going to happen there in the first half.
Right.
You could almost see the dynamic in that game unfolding as his brother was catching all the balls.
Riley's already got 4 in this game.
Calvin's going, hey, I'm the number 1 pick, and you're catching all the balls.
Holyfield powers his way up the middle, close to another first down. Behind Cade Mays, the freshman, number 77, helped him up.
Sure did. He cut off the defensive end, trying to go right across his face. Cuts him off, goes low on the play, gets the block, and then bounces it out for a good run.
Good enough to move the chains. Now Fromm comes up slinging out to Hardman. Nico Hardman inside the 35.
That's probably the 3rd, maybe 4th RPO they've run in the game. You know, that's the one where Jake Fromm has that opportunity. Almost got that one picked off. We saw it earlier. But this time the offensive line is blocking run to the left, and he's got the option of throwing the screen to the right.
Georgia going a little tempo here.
Same
now they go
again.
right back the other way. And again, it's Hardman down the sideline. Broke free. And he's gone. Touchdown. Stephen Montag thought he had him. Nico had different ideas. 34 yards and a touchdown.
He misjudged Hardman's speed. Got the good block by Tyler Simmons, number 87. We've been talking about that. How those receivers for Georgia have been willing blockers. Watch there. And then when you take the wrong angle on Hardman, you're going to miss. Wrong angle, come inside just a bit too much, and Montag has no chance to make that tackle.
Trying to hold on desperately to that jersey, but he broke free. And so the opening march didn't take very long for Georgia. They go 75 yards in 6 plays. And now we got some motion on the, I think it's going to be on Justin Schaefer on the offensive line for Georgia. No, maybe it's against South Carolina. Either way, another extra point.
You saw Stephen Montag. He just kind of rounded his attack angle just a little bit, and he was done.
On the defense, number 6, the penalties decline. Replay the try.
Getting a little air. Jamie talked about the oxygen over there on the sidelines after that 34-yard touchdown reception. Nico getting a little extra. Blankenship's delayed extra point is up and good. So what an opening drive for Georgia. What a way to come out of the locker room.
Watch Montag come up and then kind of round it off. He has to come across, anticipate taking away the big play. Comes up and then he rounds it. He's beat. Hardman's too fast for him, misjudges the speed, and it's a touchdown.
Right down the sideline, right toward you with pylon cam goes the man of the hour, 27-10, Nico Hardman.
$2.99 for a car hop classic. What a steal.
You got a lot of playmakers around you. All you have to do is be efficient. And Jake Fromm was on that drive. He's now 12 out of 15, 129 yards, including that touchdown a couple minutes ago.
Yeah, and smart. Remember, he's got the option. He could have handed that ball off, and on both plays, you know,
made the right choice.
Made the right choice both times. Easy throws and get it to your good players you talked about. I mean, that's really been the formula for Georgia. Last year, for Fromm, Notre Dame, he threw 29 passes. Auburn in that loss, 28. In the Rose Bowl, 29. In the National Championship, 32 in an overtime game. So both of them go overtime. Rose Bowl and so, you know, his sweet spot is 24, 25 passes.
Last year against South Carolina, 22 passes, 16 completions, and 2 touchdowns. Again, a touchback, bring it out to the 25. Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans brings you today's Scholar Athletes, and one of them just had a kickoff and has a couple of field goals. Rodrigo Blankenship for South Carolina, Jacob August. Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans, showing their commitment to the investment of our future by donating $1,000 to Georgia and South Carolina's General Scholarship Fund.
Well, now Jacob Bentley has to do what Jake Fromm did. As you see, DeAndre Walker is back in the game, number 15. That is good news for Georgia fans. Not good news for that guy, but he has to produce some points here.
Again, a tip ball. And it was Tyler Clark.
When you throw short, again, you got to throw in lanes.
Now watch the snap. Well,
yeah, it was low again. Absolutely.
Well, this time, Gary, he actually looked at Donnell Stanley and said, dude, quit putting him down by my ankles.
Yep. You know, I think it was a bit of a play-action pass. I think it was an RPO, to tell you the truth. When you've got guys run blocking, there's no way to get any push in that defensive line. That's on you as a quarterback.
Pump fake one way. Bentley down the middle. Complete to Samuel. He's short of the first down as he's run down and dragged back by Richard LeCount and company.
You know, when you've designed an offense to go fast, one of the things you have to do is have your receivers line up to the left and to the right. So Georgia always knows where Deebo Samuel's going. They always know. They don't even have to look at him. He's always going to line up to the defense's right, to the offense's left. Now, you know, if I'm designing an offense for him, I want to move him all over.
Yeah.
I want the other team not to know where he's going to line up when they break the huddle. Of course, they don't huddle, but that's part of it.
He's lined up to the bottom of your screen right now. 3rd down and 2. Bentley again down the middle, but broken up in and out of the hands of the intended receiver. KC Crosby couldn't hold it.
Yeah, Taylor and Patrick were both there, bracketed in the middle. Got to be able to pitch and catch it, but they closed on it. Patrick closed on that one fast. That had to be in there and a perfect low throw to complete it.
So Georgia got exactly what they needed on their opening possession of the 3rd quarter, a touchdown. South Carolina didn't get anything that they wanted. They've got to kick it away. Charlton hangs this one up high. Fair catch called for by Crumpton, made around the 25-yard line. So just that quickly, Georgia's got the football back. 11:55 remaining 3rd quarter. The Dogs by 17. From the if you weren't at the football game, it's a lot cooler out there than it is right here. Our aerial coverage sponsored by State Farm, here to help life go right. Georgia with a 17-point lead right now. The Georgia quarterbacks were both warming up over there, throwing to each other. Jake, the sophomore, had somebody catching the passes. Justin Fields, the freshman, was catching them himself. Jake will stay in a quarterback right here. If there's an opportunity, Jim Chaney said, I'd love to see the kid get on the field, meaning Justin Fields, but it would have to be a comfortable situation. Kirby Smart told us the plan is there is no plan. The plan for now is to leave it in the hands of Jake Fromm. And DeAndre Swift dropped for a loss of a couple.
Well, the talent of a Justin Fields to even be in the conversation with what Jake Fromm did last year is because he's been called by some a transformer quarterback. He's one of those guys that just doesn't come around that many times, and he's got to play. We asked Kirby every which way possible last night, didn't we? And he goes, he's a good player and he's gonna play.
Yep. Fromm throws the out again, complete, broken tackle. Jeremiah Holloman. Holloman bangs off his own guy, and he's got a 1st down, and he's still standing.
You know, I would not call it a controversy here at Georgia. It's a situation, though. I mean, you got 2 great players. One guy doesn't make many mistakes at all. Just led you a national championship and one play from the national championship to win. And you got another guy who was the #1 quarterback in the country coming into, and there's only 1 year of separation here. This isn't like, you have at Clemson where Trevor Lawrence and Kelly Bryant have 3 years separation.
Right. Clemson, a huge game at A&M tonight. Lawrence threw 3 touchdown passes for him last week. On first down, Ryan Harrion maybe got a yard. Jim Chaney, we kid him about, did you ever have a decent quarterback when you were coaching like at Purdue maybe?
Yep. And they're very similar. Listen, Jake is going to have to go a long way to get the passing touch that Drew Brees has earned, but same type of guys. Know exactly Jim Chaney on the left right there. We've gone way back with him. We did those games.
We sure did.
Drew Brees.
We did some games where Drew was thrown at 65 times.
I feel like Drew's changed. You and I have changed, and Chaney has not.
Good point. Arian dragged down for a short gain again. Brings up another third down here.
Well, again, remember when South Carolina went down 14-0, they got the ball back and made it a game. They got to get the ball back and get some points on the board and make it a game for the fourth quarter.
They need to stop right here.
Totally. One more touchdown and it is a comfortable game to put anybody in at quarterback.
Third down and 5. From deep ball this time, and overshot a wide open Harrion.
It's because he took the momentum from the running back Harrion that time, and that's why it was overthrown. Remember when we said earlier in the game there was a holding that Sherrod Green got away with? Well, this time he does not get away with it. Wheel route, you got a linebacker having to cover him, and he grabs him, takes away the momentum, and that's why the ball was overthrown.
Automatic first down.
An automatic first down for Georgia.
Remember, you made the point earlier that that was a good penalty. That was a good penalty because that's a touchdown if he doesn't grab him. But he did get away with one just like that earlier in the game.
Harrion stays in there. Have yet to see James Cook, who's capable of playing down the second half.
I haven't seen much of Demetrius Robinson either, have we?
No. Had a 72-yard touchdown and an end around the first time he touched it in a Georgia uniform last week. First down at the Gamecock 47. Elijah Holyfield flanks Jake Fromm. He wants to throw again. Deep on the sideline. This time he's got Hartman again. Almost took it the distance again.
I mean, the definition of bust might be right there. There's nobody there. They blitz from the slot. There's no one back there. Here's the safety way over here to the right. And you get us like, couldn't get my telestrator to work right then. They're going to hurry up on the play, but there's no one there to cover the play.
Now they go to the ground. Elijah Holyfield, a stiff arm, heading to the end zone. Touchdown, Georgia. Elijah Holyfield, as he did a week ago with a touchdown romp. And Georgia now stretches it to 33-10 with the extra point coming up.
It's hard enough to cover these Georgia receivers when you cover them. When you don't cover them, that's what happens. That's points on the board. Total miscommunication. You get a splits over the slot and nobody backing up the slot receiver.
You can tell by the faces of the Gamecock fans this is not going how they'd hoped here in the third quarter. Blankenship in for the point after. Georgia now looking all of the preseason SEC East favorite as again a 75-yard march in just 6 plays. The big one right here as Fromm got it out to Hardman. They kept him out of the end zone, but they did not keep number 13 out of the end zone. Elijah Holyfield heading in for the score. And now Kirby Smart says, I like how this is going. 34-10.
Our next
college football seminar at CBS last month. He took a couple shots at you and me.
He did. He's very good.
All in good, humor.
He should go into acting. He's good at that.
Good point.
Look at how far back Deebo Samuel is right here. He wants to return one.
Yeah, he does.
He's right, got his feet right on the back of the end zone. So I'm going to give this thing a try.
Way down there on the other end.
Yeah, he's 9.5 yards deep.
That's about where Blankenship's been putting them so far today on the kicks. This time bounces out of the corner past the pylon. Touchback. Debo doesn't get a chance there either. And now new Project Smarter presented by Home Depot. Here's Mr. Danielson.
Well, DeAndre Walker is no surprise to Georgia fans. He was like the third defensive end a year ago with Bellamy and Carter. He was a force, second on the team in tackles for a loss and sacks last year. In this football game, he has been a menace the whole football game. Reading the plays early, pressuring the quarterback. The last play when he got dinged, he kind of had to push the quarterback's shoulder right into his head. Rose off, a little bit woozy. Probably got checked by see with anything type of a concussion, but he's back on the field.
And he just gave up containment to Rico Dowdle a little bit on that run. Juwan Taylor knocked him out of bounds. Got it out to the 31-yard line, though. Second down and 4. South Carolina's got to get something out of this drive. I mean, we're under 9 minutes.
I said that the last two. I was going to let you say it, and you did this time.
Donald stood up just before he can get to the first down marker by Taylor again. Juwan Taylor had 13 tackles all of last year. He might end up with that many before the game's over today. Out of Hollywood, Florida.
And it's the same story for South Carolina. You know, the last couple of years they couldn't even run for, you know, close to 100 yards. They had 41 yards rushing in this football game right here. It's hard to imagine that you can throw the ball enough with no balance and beat this Georgia defense.
Wow, and Georgia just was not going to let.
They have not been able to block that front for this Georgia team. See Walker on the corner. Oh, he turns it in beautifully. Number 15 right there. Takes on the block, knocks it into the backfield, then turns the ball carrier inside where all the linebackers are.
So now it's another punt.
It's funny how you don't get very tired when you're up by 24 points.
That's right. When you're forcing 3 and outs 4 times. Fair catch by Akil Crumpton. Might have had a room to run that one back, but did the wise thing, safe thing, with a 24-point lead. With 7:37 remaining in the third quarter. The Dogs defense doing their job. Gives it back to the Georgia offense in a moment.
What if you had
Georgia 34-10 halfway through the third quarter as we check in with Jamie.
Couple injury updates for Georgia on this sideline. That's Andrew Thomas just over my shoulder. It's a left ankle issue. He's out for now. Interesting about him, when he was in the medical tent, the equipment managers brought in a bigger size shoe to make sure that left ankle was taped and able to fit, but he is in a lot of pain. He's having a tough time getting around. We talked about DeAndre Walker coming back in. He actually had a facial laceration that they had to deal with, and that is why he's able to return.
Okay, thanks, Jamie. With Andrew Thomas, you need a bigger tent, much less a bigger shoe.
Right. It's hard to imagine that you carry that many big shoes extra like that, right?
From the 14-yard line, still Jake Fromm at the controls. DeAndre Swift. They're about 3 or 4 up the middle. DeAndre kind of putting together a pretty good game now. It's 10th carry for 55 yards. Hasn't had any big ones, but he's been very efficient when he's handled it.
But just think about this. If you're Will Muschamp, I mean, you pointed for this football game. You know, you have told your team we were not healthy versus these guys last year. We're ready for this team. We've got a veteran quarterback. We've got our playmakers back. And it looks like this.
And the problem is, as Hardman, who's made the big plays for Georgia, gets another first down. The problem is the beginning of the first half, the beginning of the second half, Georgia in a span of about maybe a total of 9 minutes put up 28 points, 14 and 14.
Remember right at the end of the half, and I was saying, will South Carolina really try to score here? They got to go 90 yards. The one thing I didn't want to do is give Georgia the ball back. Okay, now they made enough first downs, but the shanked punt was the big one.
Yep.
Then they get the ball back to the end of the second half. They started the second half, and they go down and score again. 10 points.
They got the 3-point field goal from Blankenship right before the break and haven't slowed down since. And Brian Harrigan blasts his way out close to another first down.
I was reading about Georgia. I remember a while back when Kirby got here to Georgia, he used to worry about he'd get to that 70-man travel squad and think like, well, I got 65 guys I want to take. Where am I going to get the last 5 guys? This week he was going, whoa, I got about 75 guys I want to take. Who's the 5 that don't get to come? That 10-man difference is how you build a squad.
There's a run blitz by South Carolina. It really doesn't pay off for him as Harrion just keeps dragging guys and still out to close to another first down. Boy, just kept the wheels churning, didn't he?
Those big hogs up front, big block inside by your center, Gilliard. All that's then everybody gets in it, as you said. But Gilliard just seems to be able to handle. If you're a center and you got a nose tackle and you can get a stalemate up there, that's a win for a center.
Good tough run by Harrion. Got 9. And now Elijah Holyfield, who scored the last time he touched it, back in there on 2nd down and 1. Elijah got the edge. He's off to the races. Holyfield down the sideline. Another Georgia first down.
Well, they're just engulfing. Remember, we started out with that graphic early, the size of this offensive line for Georgia. Now they go 2 tight ends. They say, can you muscle up with us? No, they can't. Nice block to the outside by the newcomer. Coming into the football game and makes the play. Cade Mays, number 77, in at left tackle, just stymies his guy, and they get outside left.
Holyfield picks up a big chunk. It's first down at the 29. Back to him again. Bounced off one guy and picks up 6 yards again. I talked to Elijah a little bit last night. Walked up and was going to introduce myself. And he said, yes, sir, Elijah Holyfield. And he shook my hand, and I said, you know what? I shook your daddy's hand when he was about 19 years old. It feels exactly the same.
Well, and if you talk to the Georgia defenders from spring football and fall football, nobody wants to tackle Holyfield.
No.
He's a monster in the weight room, and he's hungry for carries. And there's a lot of good backs on this football team. Some of them aren't even playing right now.
Of course, Elijah's dad, Evander Holyfield, a 3-time heavyweight champion of the world. DeAndre Swift back in there, and he goes for the first down run. Let's check in with Jamie.
Well, Brad, this much we learned about Jake Fromm this offseason. He is going to stay true to who he is. And Kirby Smart told us he's a country boy. He likes fishing. He likes hunting. He likes lake life. Well, that got him into some trouble this season. He got a fishing lure stuck in his leg. Kirby doesn't care. He's had friends that happened to. In July, though, that broken hand, the non-throwing hand during a wakeboarding accident, he was on the boat, so he tried his best not to get into trouble. He's all good now, but hey, you can't take the country out of the boy.
No, that's what he loves to do when he's not playing football. He's either fishing or hunting. Got a hamburger named after him in his hometown.
Hey, if you have a lure stuck in your leg, that deserves to get a big shot at it.
It does,
right?
yeah.
Not a lot of guys can say that.
Kirby was, as Jamie said, he wasn't crazy about the wakeboard thing because that broke a bone in his non-throwing hand, but he's an outdoorsman, no doubt about it.
Well, a couple good country boys, you know, Terry Bradshaw, Burt Jones, Brett Favre.
Good ones,
right?
yeah. And look at those numbers now. The exception of the interception, almost perfect. Brian Harrion back in at tailback. They just keep rotating those 3 guys at the tailback spot, and it's Harrion straight up the middle and in the end zone. Touchdown, Georgia. 19 yards straight up the gut.
Well, he's the best center in the SEC, Lamont Gilliard, number 53. Led this offensive line a year ago when they ran the ball. Watch again how you can block when you can take that nose tackle and get that crease, just stuff them. Anybody can run the ball up the middle like that.
Actually, 15-yard touchdown for Harrion as Georgia now comfortably in control in this game with 18 minutes left.
Ben Cleveland came by with his left hand and helped a little bit, and that was mostly good.
Extra point up and good. Well, if you had any questions about how good are the Dogs, the number 3 team in the country,
serving notice, aren't they?
I think so. 3 possessions this half, 3 touchdowns, and now a 31-point lead with 3 to go in the third quarter. Harrion, Holyfield, Swift All those guys getting in the act today in the Georgia backfield. Blankenship has been perfect. Both field goals, extra points, and touchback kicks. That one goes in the stands. Deebo Samuel says, why am I even back here? Next Saturday, Home Depot SEC on CBS features the best game for the best conference. Number 11 LSU taking on 7th ranked Auburn. Will be at Jordan Hare. The day kicks off at the State Farm College football today at 3 Eastern with Adam and the guys right here on CBS. We said we'd find out about the East a little bit today. We'll find out a little bit about the West next week. And speaking of Auburn, our good friend, former athletic director David Housel, missing an Auburn game today for the first time in like 100 years. I guess he's having double knee surgery.
I met David my first year I worked in TV. Was that when he was at Florida State?
Yeah.
He's a funny guy, I'll say that. He likes a good laugh.
Bentley, the Donald picks up about 8. The time is of the essence right now if you're a South Carolina fan. Georgia looking just too good on defense and really good on offense. Pass, and pass some more now for Bentley. This one to Donald, and he just got stood up and stoned right there before he could get to the first down marker. Update from our New York studios. Here's Adam.
All right, Ness, it is a Ford update. Another week, another weather delay for the Vols. But when it was over, a 28-point second quarter. Here comes Josh Palmer getting a good block. Just went to the half, 38-0. Vols on top of East Tennessee State. Back to you.
All right, so they couldn't get it geared up last week against West Virginia, but at home, the home cooking a little bit better for the Volunteers. Bentley rolls to throw, completes it, first down throw out to Shi Smith.
On the reception.
If I'm South Carolina, if I'm Will Muschamp, I'm thinking about how do I improve the rest of this game for my schedule in front of me. I mean, you finished the game obviously, but you got it coming up. Marshall, Vanderbilt, Kentucky. You have to win those 3 games.
Yep. Down the middle, good throw and catch. Ryan Edwards again, and another first down. Into Georgia territory though, at the 48-yard line.
Good protection that time. Steps into the throw, right on stride.
The middle's been the best for him today.
If they can keep number 15 and 51, those numbers are haunting him back there. Off of him.
This one is tipped, knocked down by Monty Rice. Talked about Deebo Samuel being injured a year ago, not playing in this game. Here's what he's done so far today.
Well, he's matched up against a good player, DeAndre Baker, and they've tried to find ways to get him involved with the jet sweep, and of course he threw the touchdown pass. But for the most part, the guy who could provide the big play has been silenced.
A.J. Turner in the backfield for the Gamecocks on second down and 10. Bentley down the middle again, completes. Got it to Josh Vann, a freshman, another Georgia native out of Tucker. Gamecocks have got 24 guys on their roster that are from the state of Georgia, which is about 21% of your club, I guess. So a lot of these guys that maybe weren't recruited by the Bulldogs, hoping that they could have a big day against them here at home. Not working out so well, though, so far. Bentley again. He's down the middle. This time it's the tight end Kyle Markway.
Of course, the big part of that South Carolina offense, Hayden Hurst is playing in the NFL from South Carolina.
Yeah, there's a good one.
He got a lot of balls and made big plays. And you see right there, he gets thrown out from behind. A little roll up for the quarterback that time, Bentley.
Pick up a 7 by the tight end, second down and 3. Just keep throwing it down the middle. Got it to Josh Vann again, another first down. So there's a little hole back there in the Georgia defense that Bentley's taking advantage of.
It almost feels like 7-on-7 practice right here. You know, I mean, they're letting them throw it in front of them. They're happy to let them make first downs, and they're playing clock. Right now, not willing to blitz or change up.
Might or might not get this play off before the end of the third quarter. Just did. Bentley, the pump fake, now comes back to his safety valve, and he's dropped immediately. Randrecrius Davis made the catch. Poole's right there to make the stop to bring the third quarter to a close. And a 3. Georgia with a big advantage here in Columbia. The third-ranked Dogs on a roll, 41-10.
You
the trip to Columbia, pretty happy right now with 15 minutes to go and a 41-10 lead as we start the fourth quarter. A 2nd and 14 for the Gamecocks at the 16-yard line. Jake Bentley, they can get a first down around the 2. In a little bit of trouble in the pocket. He's going to run with it. Diving forward. He's not going to get to the first down, but he got about 2 yards from that first down marker. Fourth quarter, big lead for Georgia. All they want to do is keep it, but South Carolina can at least make it a little more interesting.
They can, but it was a perfect third quarter for Georgia.
Yep.
They got the ball 3 times, scored 3 touchdowns. Jake Fromm was 6 for 6. He said his last 9 passes. They've been able to run the ball. When you watch this Georgia team play like this, you have to look forward and say, who can give them a game?
Right.
You know, until you get Auburn, Alabama. I think a sleeper game, obviously at LSU, but a sleeper game is Missouri for them. On the road, sometimes gets a little sleepy there.
Drew Lock's pretty good.
Yep.
Bentley, quarterback, draw. Not going to get there.
Too many athletes on this defense.
Yep. Jonathan Ledbetter brought him down, and it's 4th down.
Ledbetter, one of the leaders of this team this year. So interesting, like 2 years ago when Kirby got there, remember he was suspended for the first 4-6 games, something like that. And he was an original recruit. As Will's going to call this obvious 4th down play, you go for it. But original commitment to Alabama as a 10th grader. If you can imagine that.
Wow. He's a man now. All 280 pounds of him. 4th and 3. Bentley fires a slant and incomplete. Did J.R. Reed intercept it?
I don't
or did he just break
think
it
so.
up?
I think he just broke it up. Ball just came out. J.R. Reed. Did he catch it? I thought it hit the ground. Let's see. Yeah, he did. He got it. I thought he ran out. I thought he just knocked it down. But yes, anticipated the play. From up here at our angle, I couldn't tell. On TV, it might have been a lot more easy to see, but
it's a beautiful play.
Surely.
So Georgia with the interception of Bentley. They've got the ball back and a 31-point cushion.
Time. It shouldn't be measured by.
It's time for our ExxonMobil game recap of this one. Didn't start in good fashion for the Gamecocks. Jake Bentley on a tip pass right here. Skips into the hands of DeAndre Baker. He took it 56 yards to the 1-foot line and dropped it right there. But Juwan Taylor said, I think you dropped it right there. So I'm going to have a 1-yard fumble recovery for a touchdown. 7-0 Georgia at that point. And now the end around pass. Samuel lofts it out there to Edwards. That cut the Georgia lead to 17-10. But back come the Dogs with power and speed, including DeAndre Swift, who got the corner, never got touched. Shakes off everybody, 17-yard touchdown. Jake Fromm out in the flat. Mecole Hardman, fastest guy in Georgia's team, and he goes down the sideline, breaks a tackle, 34-yard touchdown. Elijah Holyfield says, I want some of that, and he did score. And Brian Herrien says, wait a minute, I got to get in on this. It's a 3-dog night, and Herrien goes for the touchdown, and Georgia rolling up the rushing yards, rolling up the score, and leading right now, 41-10. And Justin Fields takes the field. The highly touted freshman quarterback. There's his numbers from a week ago. And there's a perfect spot here, Jerry, to put him in the ballgame.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of those players that, you know, how do you manage this all year? Now, Jake Fromm is playing so well. It's such a high level, such a good football team, took him to the championship. How do you bring in another player and let him have enough snaps to stay happy? I mean, Yes, we know these quarterbacks.
Yeah.
They transfer. I mean, they transfer at a drop of a hat. So Justin Fields has, is he going to be patient? Kirby has said he's discussed every scenario with him and Jake together, and talked to him what's going to happen, what his thinking all the way is.
The luxury, much like a week ago against Austin Peay, of having a big lead, so you can put number 1 in there and put number 11 over there with a G cap on, and his day's done.
Well, it's hard to imagine. I mean, it's just not going to happen. You're not going to put Jake Fromm on the bench. He's just earned too much playing time, too much money in the bank. So now the next question is, Jake Fromm's going to be here for 3 more years probably.
Yeah.
How do you keep this guy happy for 3 years?
Great questions. The answers will come as we go. You have a little more leeway with the new redshirt rule, but here's what he's so good at, although I don't think he's going to get a first down, but it'll bring up 4th down, so he was in for 3 snaps. Not that much difference. A lot of people think that Justin's that much bigger than Jake, and he's really not, a little bit.
I remember when they were recruiting Jake Fromm, they were talking about what an athlete and runner he was, very similar to Justin. Now, us talking about this is not going to cause any controversy. This thing has a life of its own. You don't need anybody to talk about it.
It all started with his recruitment, obviously.
Sure.
But I went to the Georgia G-Day game in the spring, and Justin Fields actually had better numbers than Jake, so the rumblings were already going on at Sanford Stadium.
You can't tiptoe around this. It's just, like I say, it has a life of its own. I look somewhere in the future, if Justin Fields wants to stay at Georgia, and it's a good place to play, got good players, can they buy a year for him to create some space in between the two?
Don't forget, later in the game, play of the game presented by Napa Auto Parts. Probably going to be a Georgia highlight, I'm pretty sure.
Well, doesn't it have to be the first interception? The fumble that could have been different.
Started it all.
Yeah, and if South Carolina picks it up, by the way, if you're a rules guy and you just want to know, if no one would have picked it up, okay, the ball would have gone back out to the half-yard line and it would have been Georgia's ball.
Just be still lying there. 3 hours later.
Say everybody just said that we called dead ball, it would have been Georgia's ball.
Bentley tucks one in there to Deebo Samuel.
I want to show you a great defensive scheme here on this last interception by Georgia. Obviously, it's 4 against 3, 1-on-1 on the top. But look at J.R. Reed right here. He's going to be the free guy. He's the one that reads the play. Crisscross, crisscross, crisscross. He beats the receiver to the spot and makes the interception. That's that combo concept that you're dealing with when you play against Kirby and Nick Saban and Will Muschamp and the rest of the SEC.
He didn't have to move very far, and his eyes were right where they needed to be.
Right there the whole time.
Coaches always call that eye discipline, and that was a perfect example of it.
His job was the second guy that crossed. Okay, so you let the first guy go inside. Your job, who's the second guy? It happened to be Edwards on the play, and he beat him to the ball.
JR had an interception in the game last year against South Carolina. Another one here this afternoon. A.J. Turner trying to plow ahead for about 3. It seems like we always talk about the Saban coaching tree. Keeps getting bigger every year. Jimbo Fisher now the head coach at Texas A&M. Their big game is against Clemson tonight. We'll hear Kirby in Athens, and Jeremy Pruitt, who we saw last week, and who got his first win as a head coach today. Or maybe it's not over yet, but they were winning big at home. Bentley going to go deep this time. Man out there. Got him. Beautiful pass. Brian Edwards, touchdown. That was pretty.
What a throw. Dropped that one right down. The freshman Tyson Campbell is one of the elite athletes that was recruited by Georgia. Everybody wanted him. But when you take a perfect throw to the outside, it's a 50-yard throw right on target.
Right down the stovepipe.
Yep.
That was pretty. That makes Jake's day a little better, but he would give everything back to have a lot more points on the board. His 47th throw good for a 44-yard touchdown. Just under 10 minutes remaining in the ball game. It's not going to be a win for South Carolina. This is a winning throw, though, boy. Wow.
dedication.
Look back through the day from our Chick-fil-A pylon cam. Some of the great moments. That one was a beauty. Ended up being a 1-yard fumble recovery touchdown. The pylon cam took a shot on that one. And Elijah Holyfield diving in for a touchdown. And then that beautiful pass right there to Brian Edwards. All courtesy of Chick-fil-A pylon cam. Some great looks from ground level and the turf of Williams-Brice Stadium. The turf that was, by the way, replaced recently. Brand new turf after Jay-Z and Beyonce's concert sort of tore it up. You know, the weird thing is, I wouldn't have done this, but they brought the sod in from Sugar Hill, Georgia, which is about an hour ride from Athens. I think I would have gotten some South Carolina sod out there.
Well, I think when you got the horses that Georgia has,
doesn't matter what you're running on.
Exactly.
Could be running on sand out here.
Too many good players. It's a rebuilt powerhouse. It's going to take a special team to beat them.
Well, Will Muschamp and Kirby Smart having different kinds of days. With more on that, Jamie's got some more.
Well, you mentioned that Nick Saban coaching tree. They're just a branch of the coaching tree, but that branch started growing a long time ago when they were teammates at Georgia. And then Will Muschamp hired Kirby Smart as his D-backs coach at Valdosta State. He wasn't making a lot of money then, Kirby wasn't, so he moved in with the newlyweds, Carol and Will Muschamp. And Carol said it was going pretty smoothly for the first couple weeks until the laundry built up. And then now we're going to have to confirm with Kirby, but she claims that she taught Kirby Smart how to do his laundry.
Aha.
Yeah. We're going to have to dig a little deeper on that one.
Yeah, we will. That's a great story.
Well, we might see him 4 or 5 more times, so we might have a chance to get to the bottom of it.
First charge timeout, Georgia.
Kirby told us at Valdosta State when they were coaching there, he said, I signed my contract for $8,000. I thought I had all the money in the world. I said, Coach, you're doing a little better right now. Here, it was interesting for about 5 minutes. No, actually, at the halftime, it was still a pretty good game. But right now, Georgia rolling, week 1 in the SEC. Tennessee was the only team that lost. We did that game in Charlotte. 2 wins against top 10s. Auburn, especially big over Washington at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. And then LSU just dismantled Miami. That was, I don't know if Miami's just not that good, or is LSU going to surprise us? We're going to find out more next week. And the Plains at Jordan-Hare, and they take on Auburn in Battle of Tigers. Here's the freshman, James Cook, who didn't play in the first half because of a targeting foul a week ago on a punt. And back out there, and we asked Coach Smart, talking about his tailbacks, he said, you know, I had 5 of them, and I was wondering, man, what am I going to do with them all? Then Zamir White got hurt at practice, and James Cook was not able to play in the first half of this game, and he said, now I'm down to 3.
Well, it is interesting watching Holyfield and Harrion that they were actually 4th and 5th string.
Isn't that amazing?
Amazing.
Well, they were behind Sony Michel, Nick Chubb, and those guys.
Yes.
So it's hard to break through that barrier sometimes. But this guy, they say, has really got some smoke to him when he gets out in the open field. Of course, his brother was a star at Florida State. If you don't know James Cook, Dalvin Cook. As I say it, it comes up. That's how good our truck is. As Dalvin's numbers at Florida State, and he was off to a tremendous start last year for the Vikings before he got hurt. He's back and healthy, so you see him in action tomorrow. But this is the little brother, and he's a good one.
I think Kirk Cousins looked at all the firepower for the Vikings, knowing that Cook was coming back, and said, you know, 90 million, 92 million.
Guaranteed,
yes.
whatever. Here he is again, carrying the ball in his right arm there, going to the left side, but I guess he's comfortable with that. Got a nice push from the offensive line. That's one of the things, but Gary's talked about it. Yes. The offensive line today has been really strong.
Well, watch the pass off again. Inside, you got to have a little help, and the center comes around and makes the block. You get it, little help from the guard, fits it, late in the play, Trey Hill, another freshman. That is beautiful technique inside with your second group.
Yep, that's the thing I was just going to mention. Getting the second guys some work, especially on a day this hot, so those starters.
Well, that's Kendall Baker next to him. He was a full-time starter last year for Georgia, and he's with the second group now.
And they almost ripped that ball out of there. He's obviously right-handed, but
Yeah,
he's got to learn to move that ball around a little bit.
It is interesting for Georgia this year. I mean, obviously they got a good football team. We'll talk about South Carolina's schedule. But as you look at they tee it up, trying to make another run at the SEC championship and make the playoffs, in the even years, they only play 3 true SEC home games. You know, they got the inter-squad game, basically. You play the game, intersectional game with Florida in a neutral field, and then you have 4 road games. So you only get 3 true home games in the SEC.
Fields throws on the run. Nice pass, complete out to Trey Blunt. Here's Georgia's schedule.
You know, and I mean, you know, you go at, as we said, Brad and Message, Drew Lock, a guy that can throw the ball around and challenge people. Tennessee and Vanderbilt, if you're going to choose teams to play at home, I think I can beat those teams. You know, if you're a Georgia player. At LSU, but this year, differently, they get Auburn at home from a year ago.
That's right. And then Georgia Tech to wrap up. Georgia Tech lost to South Florida today. And you and I have talked about this endlessly, it seems like, since we got back together. But Georgia doesn't have a lot of room for error because as you looked at that schedule, you know, UMass, Austin Peay, and Middle Tennessee State at the end of the season is not going to wow the selection committee.
The happiest school in the SEC from that first week was Georgia. When they went 13-1, that helped Georgia immensely. If they get in there, you know, I mean, it's too far to go, you know, undefeated versus undefeated yet. We'll beat that into the ground in a month from now. But, you know, 4, if you're going to try to put 2 in, and I think it's highly unlikely unless both of them are undefeated, that first week helped Georgia.
Cook, straight up the middle this time.
Now, South Carolina has, you know, as Will tries to rebuild this program, they've got a little bit different. You know, every game they play, it's a challenge. I mean, they're the only school in the SEC that have 2 road games back-to-back. In September, the 22nd and 29th.
Then in November again.
Yep, against Ole Miss and Florida. So for them to get to last year, when they, you know, won the 9 games, they won their close games. They had turnovers in their favor, and are, you know,
at Death Valley at the end.
Death Valley at the end.
Yeah.
How do they get as many wins as last year? It's going to be a challenge for them.
They're down 4. Georgia just keeping it on the ground. Cook broke 1 tackle, trying to get to the edge with a stiff arm, and he dives forward. He's going to be about a yard, not much shy, yard and a half, maybe just a yard.
Yeah, and they won't punt. They'll just go for it. Give the team another rep.
Kirby just clapped over there to his offense and said, yep, let's go.
One of the things that's really changed in college football is it's impossible to over-recruit the running back position. All the great running backs don't care if they're first, second, or third string. They looked at what happened at Alabama, where all those players were stacked. They all went into the NFL. They don't want a lot of carries.
You got all the tread on your tires when you get to the pros. Cook, that last little bit of effort got him the first down.
Boy, he would have got coached on Sunday or Monday with that jitterbugging in the hole right there if he hadn't gone forward. Yes. Watch this cut there, and then he slips and stumbles, and he's very fortunate he went across that line, or he'd have been coached up.
He goes out. Prather Hudson comes back in. Georgia using as much clock as possible here.
You put all that into your opening game if you're South Carolina. Huge game for your fan base, for your players. It's been sold for 4 months, and then this happens.
He runs it up the middle as we take a look at the GMC game changer in this one. And he's been a game changer. Nicole Hardman, probably the fastest guy on Georgia's team. The hurdle is a penalty after that, which made it an even bigger play than out in the flat. You think you got him, you got a hold of the jersey, and he said, nah, I don't think so. And Nicole ended up with a 6-catch day for 103 yards and a touchdown. He is a big-time weapon. Hudson stays in there at the tailback spot. Everybody getting a little bit of action today, which is great for morale, especially on a team. You go home and say, I got to play.
Sure did. Remember one of the storylines in the offseason, Brad, you're from Atlanta, is Demetrius Robinson's transfer to Georgia. He was the #1 recruit in the state of Georgia in 2014. Went out to Cal, freshman All-American, came back eligible, tremendous skill, tremendous speed. He was the #1 recruit in the state of Georgia that year. You know who was the #2?
No.
Nico Harden.
Wow. Pretty good company. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, he caught 50 balls as a freshman out at Cal. 9 of them were touchdowns. And then just played a couple of games before getting hurt last year. So a medical redshirt and then the transfer. He's from basically south of Savannah.
One of the biggest changes in college football now is, you know, coaches always used to recruit in the offseason. And then when you get them, you can stop recruiting. But now, even when they leave and don't come, you got to just keep on recruiting them.
Yeah.
Just recruit. There are 8 players that are playing for Georgia and some big names. Justin Fields, you know, Demetrius Robinson, Monty Rice, okay, that all committed to go other places and end up back at Georgia. You never lose their number.
And even if they go someplace else and play, you never lose their number.
Yep.
And a 1-yard gain that time, so we're down to 2.5. Around college football today, Alabama had a home game against Arkansas State, won by 50. The biggest game coming up tonight, A&M. Can they hang with Clemson? UCLA has not started the season the way Chip Kelly wanted to, that's for sure. Oklahoma has come out of the blocks blazing, though.
You know what, a good loss, though? Washington.
Yeah.
You know, and I think they were rewarded. And I think the committee will reward them at the end. If they go and run the table and they win the Pac-12, I think they will not hold that loss against them at all.
Because it was almost a home game for Auburn in Atlanta.
And they held in there. I mean, it was a good football game.
Down to the very end, in fact. Yeah, going to be a long week of regrouping for South Carolina. Exciting week for Georgia. Kind of knowing now that you can go on the road in a hostile place on a really hot day and look as good as you did.
You know, I look forward to listening to, you know, what the coaches, how they would comment about Will Muschamp. You know, Rick Neuheisel, what would he say when you get your team this ready to play an opener, and it's such a downer at home like this? You're trying to build a program. How do you rebuild this team mentally? You know, what do you do? I mean, every coach has had to go through this.
Right. Hudson, nice run, first down. That'll take the clock down. We'll probably have another play. So Justin Fields for the second week in a row getting some work after Jake Fromm was almost spotless.
And for the 3rd year in a row, South Carolina could not run the ball against Georgia.
And so for the 4th year in a row, Georgia's going to win this matchup as they get the victory set here. And Georgia will head home back to Athens, the 41-17 win. Fields takes a knee, and that should just about do it. Kirby Smart going over to meet his old friend. They've even vacationed together a lot in the past. He said it used to be easier. We were both assistants. It's hard to go against a good friend. And today he had the better team by quite a bit. 41-17. 3rd-ranked Georgia goes to 2-0. And number 24 South Carolina probably will drop out of the top 25 after they just got in this week. SEC East belongs to Georgia for at least the first 2 weeks of the season. We'll be back to wrap it up from Columbia in a minute. For the play of the game presented by Napa Auto Parts. It happened less than a minute into the game. Jake Bentley goes to Rico Dowdle, tipped. DeAndre Baker picks it off for Georgia to set the tone. He goes 56 yards down the sideline. Decided to drop the ball at about the 1-foot line. He'll be told about that in the meetings on Monday. But Jawan Taylor said, I think that's still a live ball. I'm going to pick it up and score a touchdown. And that set the scene for a 41-17 win. And the winning quarterbacks with Jamie.
All right, Jake. This game had kind of a herky-jerky start to it, but offensively, when do you feel like you guys are really able to take over?
Honestly, it starts up front for us. When our guys up front, when they start moving those guys, we rely a lot on them. We start getting behind them, and then the ball just starts getting to these backs. and our backs really take care of the rest. And then on the outside, we just take our shots, when it's necessary. And those guys make some plays.
Well, it looked good. Congratulations.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Smart quarterback. He knows who to thank. Those big eaters up front were pretty good for Georgia. Don't forget, college football postgame show is coming up. A dejected South Carolina team who had hopes of an upset, but Georgia put those to rest early, and they win it on the road in a big way, 41-17, as the Dogs quiet the crowd at Williams-Brice Stadium. For Gary Danielson and Jamie Erdahl, I'm Brad Nessler saying so long from Columbia. Final score: Dogs 41, Gamecocks 17. A happy Georgia team will head back to Athens with a 2-0 record and a number 3 ranking very secure. College football postgame show is up next after these messages. So long from Columbia.
We are the